you say that?
All right. So, we're going live here. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to WordCast. This is WordCast number 46. Hopefully the live's actually working because I'm not getting anything yet. But you know, we're gonna hope for the best. It looks like it's working now. But hello, everybody. This is the CES special. This is, like I said, WordCast number 46 on January, I almost said July, January 10th, 2018. Yep. Yeah, CES in July, right?
Yeah.
So,
anyway, CES every month.
Welcome to the show, everybody. We would love to hear some comments and stuff like that while you guys are, watching. But I just want to warn everybody ahead of time that it's going to be a busy show. So our doc is about 6 times longer than normal. So,
we're at,
yeah, it's going to take quite a lot.
We're at 11 pages and we didn't finish.
Yeah. So we may actually have some stuff afterwards if we even get through it all.
Yes.
But, of course, the most important news is first, so we're going to talk about that. Anyway, the first thing I actually wanted to go ahead and talk about, actually, I almost forgot to do the intro. If you guys are interested, over on the website, which is linked in the video description, or wordtechreviews.com, there is a section over there for WordCast that you can go to, and you can enter your email address to subscribe to an email reminder list. We send out emails usually a couple hours before the podcast starts, so that you guys get an email reminder about our podcast and other live streams if they're related to this. We do not do like new article posts or like gaming live streams or anything like that. You will not get emails from that. Just WordCast, or if we have like a special guest or something like that that's available on only one day.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Or if I just want to say hi.
Yeah, I mean, that's possible too. Yeah. Send out an email, start a live stream, hi, end the live stream, make everybody mad, right? So anyway, so the first thing I want to talk about is a nice little trend that we have kind of spotted this year that we kind of knew would happen but weren't really sure, and we're happy it did.
Yeah.
USB Type-C, all the things. So basically everything we've seen has been USB Type-C related. Most computers that are coming out, if it's not a gaming system, is running USB Type-C, and the majority of them USB Type-C only. There's a lot of charging devices over USB Type-C. There's USB Type-C flash drives coming out, USB Type-C I/O on cases coming out, all kinds of crazy stuff. Really cool to see that there's that much USB-C, honestly. Yeah. I really like this, and I think this was something that was needed. I'm going to take a sip of coffee.
Okay.
Continue.
And as we were discussing earlier, I do actually want to kind of thank Apple for that. This would have happened eventually anyway. My theory is it would have happened about a year later. But with Apple's move with the MacBook and the MacBook Pro of forcing USB-C on people, we saw an immediate jumpstart in USB-C product releases. And so as much as people might like to say, Apple didn't do it, or Apple, this still would have happened, the fact that we saw so many USB-C products announced specifically for the MacBook right away shows that they sped things up. And so I think that next year's CES would have been USB-C wise about where we're at today, if not for that.
I think you're right. And honestly, this is the direction I think we need to go. Not only is USB Type-C a great connector for USB 2.0, 3.0, 3.1, Gen 1, and Gen 2. I hate that combination. Anyway, but also you're able to do Thunderbolt 3 over it.
Yep.
Thunderbolt 4, probably going to use USB Type-C, we're assuming. We don't really know yet. It depends how proprietary it is, I suppose, right?
I don't see it moving away from that ever.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so either. Well, not ever, just not for a really long time. USB was around.
It's just a connector type, though.
I know. Type-C is just a connector type, yeah. Now, the other thing is you can run DisplayPort over it. Yeah. So it's like you can do literally anything with this connector. It was something that we wanted, it's just a connector standard, but the point is this one cable streamlines everything to the point of, I plug in my keyboard with this cable, or my monitor with this cable, or my headset with this cable, and so I like the idea of it. And I think the execution is what matters most, and we're probably at a point right now where it makes sense for newer stuff to be coming out without one, without a regular Type A port.
Yeah.
And it makes sense to me, and I'm okay with it, honestly. So.
Yeah.
All right. So, do you have anything you want to mention, before we jump into some of the big news?
Not really. I was just trying to get... For some reason, YouTube's iPad app won't show comments on live streams.
Just being weird? Oh, it's not showing comments? Well, let me see if we even have any comments. Maybe it'll only show it.
We do.
We do? Okay.
Yes, Joe commented that USB-C is way better than micro USB-C on older Android phones. I agree.
Yeah.
I want every USB port to be Type-C.
And
you would think that of all companies, Google could do that. But no, for some reason on the Home Mini, they decided to use micro.
Oh, that made me mad. That actually genuinely pissed me off.
Yeah, how do you think I feel as someone that bought one?
We own one.
Home Mini?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you bought a regular home.
No, we bought a Home Mini. Yeah, and it's just like, seriously, you can't just streamline that like a little bit better. Like it's frustrating to me, honestly.
Yeah.
And you know, it's not like it's an expensive connector to use. It's an open standard. They don't have to pay any kind of royalty to use it. So I don't see why they didn't, you know? So
unless they just had like a bunch of like micro USB hardware lying around,
which isn't entirely impossible.
Yeah.
But it's also unlikely. All right, so I guess we'll go ahead and jump into the first thing. Again, this is going to be kind of a really quick, you know, we're not going to go into a ton of detail on a lot of this stuff because it is way longer than normal. There's just so much news to cover. We tried to get anything in here. If there's something that's, or everything in here, if there's stuff that's missing that you guys want to hear about, we apologize. Also, feel free to leave a comment because we've probably seen it and just didn't have time to put it in the doc, so we might be able to give our thoughts on it and let people know. But we're going to start with an AMD.
Also, one other thing I want to mention, probably next week, like Monday, is when you were thinking that video was going to go live. There's going to be another like CES Roundup that'll be about a lot less things, but it'll be on more detail
on the big topics, and it'll be both of us in the same kind of setting, probably a different background, but same setting. Should be out on Monday, so keep an eye out for that. Best of CES is basically what it's going to be. Also, keep an eye out on Friday. You should see a review of the Tower 900. So anyway, jumping straight into the AMD news. Lots of big announcements from AMD, most of them being we kind of already knew, but it's confirmed now. So Ryzen 2 and Threadripper 2. So I'll start with Ryzen 2 here in specific. It's just going to be a refresh. It's basically Zen Plus is what the architecture has been kind of coined, not directly by AMD, but people have talked about Zen Plus. So it's running on the 12 nanometer die. A little bit smaller than the 14 nanometer die that Ryzen is currently using and the Zen architecture is currently using. Nothing super special. Might see some power efficiency increase. The big thing is AMD is promising better clock speeds, and it comes out in April this year and will be on the AM4 platform and will work with the 300 series chipsets. So that's really important to know, is that it's going to be same socket and will function with the older chipsets, albeit, of course, they're advertising better performance and better features with the newer chipset, which is literally the point of a newer chipset. But it's the compatibility that's really important to people. Yeah. I think it's really great. Clock speeds is, of course, the most important thing for AMD to improve on right now. Their instructions per clock isn't very far behind Intel. It's really close. But most of the Ryzen processors, unless you're really lucky, are only hitting like 4.1, 4.2 gigahertz. Again, if you're really lucky, maybe 4.3. So it's like, that's not that great when on Intel's higher end chips, not their super high core count chips, but on their quad cores and 6 cores, people are able to hit 4.5 or 4.8 or sometimes even 5 or a little bit higher than 5 gigahertz. That's a big deal. So if we can see some improvement there, they're going to be better for gaming. And so if you can get 8 cores that are really good for gaming to the point that they're really, really, really near Intel's 6-core stuff for gaming because the single-core performance is on par, but you're spending less money and getting 2 more cores, there's no argument there. Intel has to drop prices even further at that point. And they haven't even dropped prices. They've just increased the performance and kept the prices the same because they've kind of put themselves in that market where they can't just go, oh, hey, we're just going to cut the price of this in half. So instead, we're going to stack on 2 cores. Price is going to go up a little tiny bit. And if you have any thoughts, of course, jump right in.
Not really on this. The only thing is, I'm assuming just based on the timing that this is going to release, that it's not going to get Thunderbolt integration into the chipset, which is all I really want.
I think you're right. There was also a X470 motherboard showed, or X470 motherboard that was shown off. At least we presume it was X470. It wasn't directly stated that it was X470. I believe it was Gamers Nexus that did a video on that. And if I remember correctly, I did not see any Thunderbolt on it. Yeah. So
now that being said, that could just be that,
and that could also change. Like, the chipset could support it.
Most Intel motherboards don't have Thunderbolt.
Yeah, exactly. So later in the future, we could see it on this chipset.
Yeah, because we don't know the exact date that it goes royalty free. Right. And that's the problem, is they can't show off a product that's not royalty free
legal yet. Yeah. Okay, so Threadripper 2. That'll be in the second half of this year rather than April, so a little later. Kind of the same plan that they had for 2017 when it comes to the Ryzen and Threadripper releases, just the second version of them. It's using the Zen Plus architecture, so it's on the 12 nanometer process node. So basically just like last year, but the idea is better clocks again, and that's something I'd like to see on Threadripper. Of course, most people on Threadripper aren't going to upgrade, so I think what's going to happen is the majority of people that are running a Threadripper system like me are just going to stay on it, and the majority of people that are actually purchasing Threadripper 2s are going to be because they have the money or want the extra power now. I'm not going to upgrade to get, 400 megahertz, right?
But now, depending on how this goes, though, I could see a bunch of people buying first-gen Threadripper, because if we've already seen Threadripper
if it drops like $500,
we've already seen people getting good sales on Threadripper.
There have been some people that grabbed it for $700.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal. If we see it, like, until they sell out, dropping to $600 or $700.
Yeah. Yep. Big deal.
It's
big
a
deal
no-brainer.
Sure. I'm going to check comments really quick. Let's see. You already responded to those.
Yep. I have Twitch open on my iPad since YouTube won't open.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. So Zen 2 is on track for 2019. So the roadmap hasn't really changed. It's good to know that it's on track, though, to the point like AMD explicitly is saying it's on track, i.e., no, this isn't an estimate. We really do think we can hit this.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. Probably around the same time, probably April next year is when we'll see Zen 2. That's the future architecture of Zen. Technically, Ryzen and Ryzen 2 are both on the Zen architecture. Again, that's why I'm calling it Zen Plus, because it really is it's a refresh, but it is a refresh. It's not the exact same thing. Zen 2 is a completely new architecture. So we're excited for that. Zen 3 is going to be coming out in 2020. Zen 2 is supposed to be on 7 nanometers, so that's a really big die shrink right there. Of course, that's 7 nanometers with FinFETs, so it's not exactly equivalent to what Intel will call their 10 nanometer. So don't go, oh my goodness, Global Foundries has figured out how to do 7 nanometer when Intel can't do 7 nanometer. Samsung already has some 7 nanometer tech out, but it's more complicated than that, and it's not exactly, I'm not going to get into a bunch of details about the how FinFETs work and whatnot, but anyway, point is, it is a good die shrink, and that's going to put it really on par with Intel, I feel like.
Yeah.
So likely better power consumption, probably better clock speeds, I would hope, or at least not worse clock speeds with a die shrink. Sometimes you get worse clock speeds, so we'll see. Hopefully it doesn't happen. And then Zen 3 in 2020 is going to be on 7 nanometer plus, so it's just going to be, they're calling it Zen 3 officially. I think it should be Zen 2 plus, just like the architecture Zen plus, Zen 2, Zen 2 plus,
because it's a refresh.
It's a refresh. If it's not a die shrink, I don't feel like you should really call it a new architecture name. But that's just my personal opinion. That's completely, that's completely
subjective.
It
could have something else in it that is of a difference that we don't know about yet. It could have some secret they're working on.
Yeah.
It just really depends on what they announce as to what
exactly, because 2020 is a ways away. There's a lot to do between now and then, and it'll just be on a refresh 7 nanometer. That's all we know about it.
Who knows? Maybe they'll throw in some tensor cores for just
shits and giggles. Yeah. So, desktop APUs.
Yeah.
This is actually really exciting. So this is news that's a little more exciting because it's not like we basically knew that. This is new. So there's the Ryzen 3 2200G desktop APU. It's a quad core with no simultaneous multi-threading, so we're just looking at 4 cores, 4 threads. And it has 8 compute units from Vega, the Vega-based Vega architecture.
Yeah.
So it's got a GPU because it's an APU. So it's it's not like an integrated GPU. It's a little different than that. That's why the terms are technically different versus Intel having an iGPU, right? Performance is looking to be pretty decent from something like that. The idea behind these is going to be in high performance, like thin and lights and ultrabooks. Not for the desktop version, obviously, but for future stuff that's going to be coming out in laptops. But anyway, back to the desktop. So 3.5 gigahertz base for the Ryzen 3 2200G, 3.7 gigahertz boost, and it's going to be $100.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's a really cheap processor. That takes Intel's market that they've had with the i3 and just smashes it into the ground, because it's like you've got the i3 that people have been using, and you can get an i3 for like $130, right? And that's got your GPU, and that's got your CPU as well. Great for like office-based work, right, and school-based work. This is undercutting that, and you're getting better GPU performance likely. We can't really judge that for sure because we haven't seen any stuff Vega running with 8 compute units, and we also don't know the clock speeds of the Vega that's running in it. So there's also the Ryzen 5 2400G, slightly higher end. What's up?
Oh, I just wanted to point out that clock speeds are equivalent to the 1300X on the Ryzen 3 APU, but the 1300X is $130.
Exactly. This includes a decent performance GPU.
Yeah. At this point, if you're buying a Ryzen 3 or a Ryzen 5, both of these have the same kind of benefit of being cheaper than their regular Ryzen equivalent for some reason.
Yes.
You should buy the APU because that way, if you have a problem with your graphics card, you have a backup option.
Exactly. It's a really good setup. I mean,
you'd think it'd be the other way around. It's not.
Yeah. It's good though. It's a good idea though. Yeah. And it's like you might as well have this extra graphics chip.
Yes.
And of course, you know, when you're buying like a, you know, if you're going Intel, you do have the graphics chip. So there's still competition from Intel directly on that side. I am curious to see if these APUs allow you to use, you know, you say you have a dedicated GPU, you're just using this as a CPU, to use the integrated graphics, which aren't an iGPU technically, right? Yeah. To do like Intel QuickSync, except it wouldn't be called QuickSync, it'd be something different, to do the encoding work for live streaming. Because that's one of the big things that I've always liked about Intel is like if I wanted to live stream on this, obviously I could use Shadowplay. Yeah. That's a good option. But if I wanted to live stream on this and you know, while gaming, I could use my integrated graphics on my Intel CPU and use that to do the encoding, albeit not quite as good quality, but it takes a huge load off the CPU, so you don't need an 8-core to do proper streaming. Yeah. I'm wondering if this can do the same thing. So anyway, Ryzen 5 2400G quad-core with simultaneous multi-threading, so 4 cores, 4 threads, 11 compute units from the Vega architecture again. So higher performance. The performance of that is estimated to be above a GT 1030. They didn't say if it's going to be above a GT, you know, a GTX 1050 or something like that, so we'll see. But they said above a GT 1030. 3.6 gigahertz base, 3.9 gigahertz boost, $169. That is a chip that's good enough for lightweight gaming. So that, like, I mean, I don't know how much I'm going to recommend. Like, we're going to have to see how it performs in AAA titles. But, in theory, these could be really good, like, ultra budget, still want brand new parts, getting into PC gaming. Yeah. And that's something that PC needs, because that's the area that A, most people can afford, and that B, competes with the consoles, because that's what most people can afford. Yeah. So.
And for reference, relative to the regular Ryzen 5 parts for pricing, this is $5 more than the 1400, which is only at 3.2 gigahertz.
Yes.
It's $30 cheaper than, or $20 cheaper than the non-sale price of the Ryzen 5 1500X.
And this is just the MSRPs.
Yes.
So these could be, you might be able to pick up a APU with 4 cores, 8 threads.
For $150.
For $150.
Yeah.
And you look back at like, oh, look what Intel's been doing with i7. Say it's non-overclockable. More on that in a moment, though. But say you're comparing Intel's non-K series, non-overclockable stuff. I mean, you're looking at like half the price still. Yeah. And you get a higher performance GPU out of it. And it's technically an APU, so there are certain tasks that are better accelerated than you would get from the integrated graphics that Intel's running.
Yeah.
Now,
this is faster than AMD's own $20 more expensive processor.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's exciting. So, a couple fun notes about overclocking. Both not confirmed, but they're confirmed, that it's overclockable. So they're both going to be overclockable. We know that AMD has basically said, no, we're never going to lock down anything. What's the point? It costs us nothing and gives us an advantage over the competition. Whereas Intel has been basically one day, somebody was like, oh, hey, how about we lock our processors and then we unlock them for overclocking and make a little more money off of it. And the problem with that decision, Intel, sounds like a good business move. You made a lot of money off of it for a long time, and you pissed off a lot of people that actually understood it. But the problem with that move is Intel is stuck in a hole now. They can't just go, oh, everything's unlocked, because everybody that doesn't already understand that that's the case. But, you know, people that don't understand how CPUs work and don't understand that unlocked and locked, there's no difference in cost for Intel. Yeah. They're going to all of a sudden go, wait a second, you've been locking this stuff down. I thought it was a special feature I had to pay for. And then Intel's going to get crap not just from enthusiasts, but from the public that's buying their processors. Yeah. Not good. So, anyway, it's like 99.9% sure. I would literally bet money that they're going to be overclockable. So.
I mean, yeah, AMD awesome. Doesn't.
AMD has said they're planning to leave everything unlocked, and it just makes sense. Again, it gives you advantages over the competition. So the next thing I want to talk about is official price cuts for Ryzen, which is super cool because, again, we're probably going to see clock speed improvements with Ryzen 2, but if that's not of huge concern to you or, you know, whatever your reasoning is, you're trying to save money, they have officially dropped the prices to compete better with Intel. Even better with Intel. Yes, that is possible. So I'm going to go over the price drops here. This is courtesy of AnandTech. And I would show you a screen cap of it, but there's no point because I'm just going to read them anyway. I guess, you know what? I will screen cap it. I will screen cap it for you guys. Whoa, what happened? Whoa, I think I'm screen capping right now.
No?
Yes, I am. Okay, that was acting funny. I don't know. Anyway. All right. So, as you can see here, we've got the 1950X, no price change. The 1920X, no price change. But you've got a $100 drop in price on the 1900X. right? So 549 to 449. So if you don't need more than 8 cores, but you really need the extra expansion that the extra 64 PCI Express lanes and whatnot gives you, you can get it for 449 now. That's a really enticing price.
And that's cheaper than the 1800X launch tag.
Exactly. And you get 64 PCI Express lanes. You get to adopt the X399 platform. In fact, if you really want you need a computer now. You would like to go with an 8-core. That's all you can afford right now. But you might need more power later. Go do this. Buy this with a decent X399 motherboard.
Yeah.
Wait for Threadripper 2, and then pull the trigger on Threadripper 2 if you need more performance. Boom, there you go. You get the advantages of the platform, the advantages of the price saving, and the advantages of the future expandability without feeling like, oh, I just bought this and now something better is slightly better, but now mine's obsolete. Yeah. No, you can go, no, it's a significant upgrade. It's double the cores, plus it's the new stuff. Okay, so I keep looking at the camera thinking that you guys are still looking at the camera. That's because I'm smart. So anyway, the Ryzen 1800X has dropped from $500 down to $350. That's a huge price drop right there. The Ryzen 1700X has dropped from $399 to $309. These are official, by the way. They could go a little bit lower. This is a suggested price here for you, so it's not technical MSRP either. The Ryzen 7 1700 has dropped from $329 to $299. Decent price drop, nothing major there. You really should probably just go with the 1800X. At this point, it's a $50 price difference, and you're guaranteed a higher clock speed. Now, you've got the Ryzen 5 1600X dropping from $249 to $219. You've got the Ryzen 5 1600 from $219 to $189. You've got the Ryzen 5 1500X from $189 to $174. Ryzen 5 1400, no change. Ryzen 5 2400G and 2200G are new, so there was no old price. Those are the ones we just talked about, the desktop APUs. Ryzen 5 1300 or Ryzen 3 1300X and 1200, no price change. So, anyway, that is something to keep in mind, is price drops are coming into play, and the really big deals here are obviously, you know, this is what surprises me too. It's not like AMD was like, oh, hey, let's drop the prices of, you know, our mid-range units to make it look like we're giving people a great deal. Let's drop the prices of our highest-end units by the most significant amount. Yeah. Really beautiful. And
what's really cool about this is that, like, if you want to now go from the top quad-core, the Ryzen 5 1500X, to the 6-core 1600 and then overclock that, it's only $15. $15 more for 2 more cores. Yeah. And you can overclock the 1600.
Yep. I have a 1600. Yeah. It's a great chip.
That's probably...
Now it's cheaper. I was like, wow, this is an incredibly good deal when I bought mine for a 6-core. I'm like, oh my goodness. Yeah.
Especially now that they've dropped the price, the 1600 is the go-to Ryzen for gamers.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And if you look at it this way, basically AMD came out with all these new processors. You get more cores and still pretty good clock speeds and very similar IPC to Intel for way less money. So Intel was like, okay, we'll keep the prices the same, but we're going to stack some cores on top of it. And you do get really high clock speeds, pretty insane on some of the K parts out there right now. If you're overclocking 5.2 gigahertz on 6 cores, that's insane. Yeah. But AMD was just like, oh, okay, that's fine. Guess what? Our stuff is even cheaper to manufacture than you had initially thought. Here you go, we'll just drop the prices. Yeah. This also tells me that GlobalFoundries is doing really good in terms of yields. So that AMD is like, yeah, we can drop the price. We're still going to make cash. Yeah. So this is a really big deal.
Which is especially surprising with how big Ryzen chips are.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
If they were like, you know, a quarter the size less, or like essentially if they were 3/4 the size.
You're talking about the die physically?
Yes, yeah. If they were a little bit smaller,
because the smaller the die, the more you can get out of a wafer.
Yeah, so the wafer's the same size.
Exactly. So it costs you less money. Yes. This just means, hey, they're all working real well. Yeah. Which also makes sense because obviously GlobalFoundries is getting ready for 12 nanometer. So the fact that they're able to drop Zen Plus to 12 nanometer from 14 means they are doing really good at 14. They're just like, yeah, we can drop it a little. But they're getting prepared for 7 nanometer, so this is becoming easy for them. Yeah. AMD, and thank you, the general public, for purchasing AMD's wonderful product, and thank AMD for making a wonderful product, and thank Jim Keller for designing a wonderful product. They're helping pull GlobalFoundries, not out of a hole, but yank them up to being a really heavy-duty competitor with the top silicon manufacturers like Samsung, TSMC, and Intel now, and IBM. This is really cool. Okay, so a few Vega and Navi updates. Again, we've got to just kind of plow through this. The first hour is going to be the big stuff, and then it's just rapid fire. But anyway, Vega and Navi updates. Not a whole lot has come out. Vega is going to be coming out on 7 nanometer, but only for machine learning for now. No word on if it's going to be for gaming or desktops or anything.
Don't worry, miners. You'll get your cards probably in a year.
Probably. So Vega on 7 nanometers, that interests me because that should drop power consumption and increase performance a little bit. Well, again, the power consumption problem, I've emphasized this several times, is pushing the clock speeds. Mm-hmm. People need to realize, when you overclock a chip, right? Say its stock clock is 4 gigahertz. We're talking CPUs right now instead of GPUs, but the same thing applies to GPUs. 4 gigahertz. You start applying more power. 4.2 gigahertz might only use 10% more power.
Yeah.
But 4.5 gigahertz from 4.2 might use 60% more power. Mm-hmm. So Vega, when you clock it down, actually is decently efficient. The problem with Vega is when it's at the high clock speeds. Anyway, basically, there's going to be a whole bunch of Vega coming out on mobile this year. We're going to see a lot of mobile Vega with some Intel stuff. I'll talk about that later. Also, Ryzen systems with Vega Mobile, which we've seen. We have seen at CES some Ryzen systems with Ryzen desktop CPUs running Polaris. Polaris is also a very efficient architecture and better for gaming than Vega overall in a lot of ways. Better for gaming, higher performance levels, so to speak. So we've seen some laptops that have Ryzen in them. Ryzen desktop like a 1700 because it's only a 65 watt TDP running Polaris architecture, GPUs for gaming. They're very value oriented and they're still very, very, very powerful. Mm-hmm. And that's something, if now that I have a desktop again and don't need a desktop replacement that's this powerful, I probably would end up buying something like that. Now, no real news on more Vega stuff coming out for desktops. I feel like Vega's not going to show up in desktops again. Again, Vega doesn't work that great at the really high clock speeds, so it doesn't make sense to try and push it to desktop.
Yeah.
It just doesn't.
Especially when they can keep selling it to miners.
Yeah, they can sell it to miners. They can sell it to mobile. They can sell it to... it's great for some workstation environments, and it's especially good for server-based environments, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think we're going to see any more Vega on the desktop. Doesn't make sense for desktop. Not a lot of news on Navi. Other than it looks like a 2019 release. We were kind of hoping a 2018 release. We were never promised a 2018 release. We were hoping they were going to be able to push it to that. Looks like it's a 2019 release. Don't know if that has anything to do with the fact that Raja Koduri left and maybe it was going to end up coming out in 2018, but because he left they can't. Or if that's just because that's their planned time frame for it. My theory is 2018 desktop, AMD's done. They're not doing anything special. The hope is that they're doing what they did with CPUs. They're going to make money off the architecture they have as best they can in certain areas and just wait till they can make a good product. That is something that I feel like Lisa Su worked really hard. I don't have insider information. I don't know this for sure, but I feel like she worked hard to make sure they didn't attempt to release something that wasn't that good.
Yeah.
She waited till they had a good enough product to release it. So I understand that, and I hope that that's what happens on the GPU front of things with Radeon Technologies Group, is they go, boom, here's a good product in 2019. But we'll have to wait and see. And video news, you wrote up the piece on this. I want you to talk about the big.
Let's just call them what they are.
Let's
call them what they are. Big fucking gaming displays.
But it's big format gaming displays.
They did that so that they had an appropriate name to put out.
I know. And it's great. So you go ahead and talk about these. These are really cool, actually.
Yeah, so NVIDIA has... so let me back up a little bit. So for a while, gamers have wanted gaming-grade televisions, like really gaming-grade. Linus made a video, what was it, a couple months ago? About that, like their ideal gaming TV?
Yes, they did.
Like a couple months ago. And the things they talked about were high refresh rate, variable refresh rate, better speakers, just essentially just like the stuff you would expect from a gaming display in this.
Yeah.
And NVIDIA announces pretty much that. Now, these aren't TVs, technically, because they don't have a TV tuner.
Right. They're big format gaming displays.
Yes. So they're 65 inches right now is the only panel size that they've announced.
Yes.
There's one panel for all three monitors that were announced.
Yep. There was Ace. Who announced it? It was
Asus, and HP.
Okay.
And so they're 65 inches. All I think it's VA panels. I believe.
I believe they're VA panels. Yeah, which makes sense. VA I think is the future we're looking at. We're gonna have a VA OLED future.
Yeah.
There's gonna be VA on the lower end, OLED on the higher end.
Mm-hmm. With micro LED for stuff we'll talk about later.
Special stuff, which we'll talk about later.
So 120 hertz. which is awesome.
Yes.
G-Sync, which is amazing.
Low latency.
Yes.
Gotta have priority on that. So it is good for gaming, unlike most TVs.
Yes.
Oh, it is atrocious gaming on most TVs.
Yeah, it is. So, yeah. Also, I don't know how... I'm assuming it's just going to... There's some confusion. So one of the other things, and this is really cool for people that aren't going to be just gaming on these, is that ideally, when you're watching video content, it scales down to the frame rate of the video you're watching.
Yes.
So if you're watching a movie, it runs actually
that
at 24.
That is something these are supposed to do, yes.
Now, my question is that only going to happen if it's being played back from a computer or the built-in software? Or is there a way that they're going to have to do that?
I have a feeling it's going to be something that's only going to do that with the built-in NVIDIA Shield TV software.
Yeah.
I bet you a PC can't do it because a PC outputs its desktop at a specific frame rate, and everything matches that until you go full screen with the game.
What I would like to see, and this would be very complicated to do and would not make it to this model of displays, and would not be really something for gamers, but I want it anyway, is something that would, and it would have to add latency to do this, I'm guessing, but it wouldn't matter because this is not for gaming.
Yeah.
For video, if you're playing it back from a DVD player, for example, if it could detect the frame rate the DVD player is just sending to the TV, and then it has an internal scaler, like it would have to have like a dedicated HDMI port for this. But if it had one that like took in the data and it handled the G-Sync processing on its own and scaled down the TV
that would
to
increase
that frame rate.
latency, but that'd be okay
Fine
if you're
for video.
using that just for
and
video.
This would be something
for
people.
Since these are G-Sync displays, do you know if you can connect anything but an NVIDIA
they
hardware
talk
to it?
about game consoles in specific as well, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. Also, Joe made a fun comment. 65-inch HP display just sounds weird. It does. That's true. HP has never been known for great displays, let's be honest. For the most part. They've had a few, like, kind of, key moments with their displays, but nothing major. So it is kind of weird seeing
so they didn't give an input lag number, but they did specify low latency for Android
really
gaming
low.
on Shield, external game consoles. So game consoles was specified as supported. Which I'm assuming also means soon we're going to have G-Sync monitors
that have
game console support.
No,
just general HDMI support.
Because if they have just general HDMI support, that's big news. I'll touch on that more once you're done with this.
Because that means that we don't have to have dual scalers to get that.
I guess we'll touch on that now.
Okay.
Yeah, so so you don't have to have actual two display drivers, scalers, whatever you want to call it, in the display. So currently with G-Sync monitors, you can only hook up NVIDIA hardware to it, and realistically only NVIDIA GPUs, not even like the Shield and stuff, will work on a G-Sync display.
Unless you buy like the one BenQ monitor that's come out that has...
Yes, so there's a BenQ monitor. It's the only one in existence as far as we know that actually has two separate display driver modules. One that's G-Sync and one that's universally compatible with everything, so you can use other devices with it. That's been a hard limit on G-Sync that NVIDIA has had its reasons but needs to fix, because right now FreeSync displays just work with everything. You can run a FreeSync display with an NVIDIA GPU, and you can set up a custom profile to run it at the FreeSync's maximum refresh rate of that display. Of course, you still don't get the actual syncing of frames, but again, they're compatible, and that's important. Now, my real thing I want to see NVIDIA do is make it so that everything, what I want to see NVIDIA and AMD and Intel do all together is just everything be adaptive sync. Now remember, adaptive sync, not adaptive V-Sync, adaptive sync. It's FreeSync, it's just what VESA standards call it. So FreeSync is literally adaptive sync. FreeSync was always built as an open standard by AMD. So I'd like to see NVIDIA and Intel, which I'm sure Intel will because they're not going to make their own proprietary tech. That's too much. That's a waste of money at that point. And is going to restrict people from buying their GPUs if you already have a display that's FreeSync or G-Sync. So I'm sure it's going to be FreeSync. There's no reason for them not to do it. So it'll be called adaptive sync probably, but everybody will just call it FreeSync, whatever. So I think NVIDIA needs to adopt adaptive sync. Now, G-Sync actually does have some advantages over adaptive sync. I'm not going to get into those right now for sake of time. There are a few minor advantages that are somewhat a big deal to some people. But I'd like to see them adopt that personally because I'd like to see open standard just displays change the refresh rates depending on output for all content would be amazing because that along with HDR are both bigger innovations than 4K.
Yes. Also, this makes me wonder because we did see a while back NVIDIA showed off the set, like their first wave of G-Sync HDR monitors that are supposed to launch Q1 of this year.
Yeah.
These are using presumably the same G-Sync HDR tech because there's a specific thing for G-Sync HDR.
Right.
I'm wondering if those monitors are going to be able to support console then. If that's something that initially they weren't sure if they had ready.
That wouldn't surprise me. That wouldn't surprise me. That would be awesome if they did. And, at this point, one thing NVIDIA you could do to please people and get more people buying your displays, because one of the advantages to G-Sync that doesn't take long to explain is NVIDIA verifies the panel as a good panel.
Yes.
Whereas with FreeSync, not FreeSync 2, there is a difference. So FreeSync/Adaptive Sync, literally a company can be like, here's our worst garbage panel, but don't worry, it has a 10 range of FreeSync.
Yeah, I could rip this panel off a laptop, throw a scaler on it, and say it works. And it's technically FreeSync.
You could, yes. You just implement it. It's super easy. I would like...
We don't know what the cap for their variable range is on these displays, but we know the bottom is because it has to go below 20 or 24 because it's 23.967.
Because it can do that, exactly.
Is a confirmed frame rate.
Probably 25, or not 25, 20.
22.
Probably 20
to 22.
Yeah. So what I would like to see NVIDIA do, and you know what, you can do this, and you don't even need to give me royalties for this idea. Make it so that G-Sync displays work with Adaptive Sync GPU outputs. What I mean by that is you have a G-Sync display, but you have an AMD or in the future an Intel GPU with Adaptive Sync, and it just works. Because then look, people go, oh, okay, this will work with NVIDIA's future, any NVIDIA hardware, and it will also work with everybody else's hardware. So if I'm on NVIDIA now, or I might switch to NVIDIA in the future, I should probably go with this panel instead of an Adaptive Sync panel, because it'll work with everything. So you still get your... You convince more people to buy your product, because people that already don't have NVIDIA GPUs could buy it. There's an advantage where you get better displays guaranteed if you're buying, G-Sync panels versus FreeSync panels.
Yeah.
And you get the advantage of people might consider switching to your hardware in the future, but you're still getting your royalties that you want for your technology. You're just implementing the free technology alongside it. So then people can go, oh, if I want the really best experience out of this monitor, I should get an NVIDIA GPU. So they still have that incentive, but people that don't have an NVIDIA GPU aren't de-incentivized to buy it.
Yeah. I always wondered why, especially BenQ, who came out with a dual scalar monitor that had a standard input and a G-Sync input.
Why somebody didn't do that, but with a adaptive
FreeSync scaler and a regular scaler.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
I get that it would probably be complicated to make and get, it working where it can detect which, there's a lot of complications for two different types of variable refresh rates.
Yep.
But man, if you came out with that before if you were the only one that had that.
Oh my gosh. Because everybody that's like, I don't know what's happening with the future of GPUs, but I want a new display now.
If I can buy a
display that one
and know it's going to work for the next 5 years.
We're back. I think we're back.
Oh yeah, we got chat. We just reconnected.
Reconnection successful. Hi guys. Don't know when that cut out. We're really sorry.
It cut out right when it said it we did.
Okay, because it notified me. Thank you, Comcast. I appreciate you so much. This makes me happy. I fucking hate you. Okay.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Comcast actually did something I liked.
Go home. You're just gonna walk home.
So, this actually gives people a reason to rent their routers. They integrated a IoT hub into it. That's all I was gonna say.
Okay. Okay. So anyway. Sorry, guys. I don't know exactly what happened there. I don't even know what the topic exactly was, so we're going to move on to the next one for sake of time. Hopefully it doesn't disconnect again. We've been having more and more problems with disconnection at my house, and it's really frustrating, and I'm getting completely fed up because we pay for better reliability. Anyway, we pay for business class here because we were hoping that it actually might be a little bit more reliable, and we actually might be prioritized customer service-wise, and we have no data cap.
And the stream was laggy before it went down, just so you know.
Was it?
That's what Joe
Hopefully, but okay. Joe, let me know if it starts lagging out again, please. If it starts being laggy. Okay, so more NVIDIA news. GeForce Now PC beta. So we've heard about GeForce Now, which was a few select games that you could run on your NVIDIA Shield portable or Shield tablet that used NVIDIA's servers to run the game. Mm-hmm. This is a PC beta, meaning, yes, you can turn your crappy MacBook Pro, why do people buy those, into a gaming PC. Mm-hmm. Okay? So it's in beta for now. But it also supports Mac in beta, as far as I understand. They showed it off on Macs. I didn't read anything confirming that it actually is available on Mac, but I'm assuming since they showed it off, there's a beta for Mac. 120 hertz 1080p max is what you can set it up at, and so they're using their server power to power a game at 120 FPS. The idea is, and I say 120 hertz, it's really 120 FPS. The idea is even if you're not using 120 hertz display, which you're probably not if you're not rendering the game locally, you're probably at a 60 hertz display, you're getting better latency because you're still getting twice the frames delivered to you. So better latency for, you know, using mouse movements and stuff. My issue with GeForce Now, I think it's an incredibly good idea, NVIDIA. I'd like to see you guys push it because it's great for some people. But for anybody that actually cares when it comes to, like, games like FPS, right? Like, I mean, you can play a lot of games with a little bit of latency, but you can't go play, like, Overwatch with this. And even with the speed of light going through cables getting there, even if there wasn't switches in the way, which there is, which takes more time, the latency is still going to be worse than what we have locally on a machine. And the better the latency, the better you're going to play an FPS game. So it's a great idea, I think, for a lot of game styles, especially single player. But if you're playing anything that's competitive based or anything that's really FPS based, no matter how low they get the latency, the speed of light, as far as I understand, can't actually do it as good as we want. Yeah, but I mean, really, it's... And again, don't calculate distance to the server because it's going through wires. Yeah. It's not a straight shot. The straight shot would probably be okay. Yeah. Really, this is just meant for more core, like, just general gaming experiences. This isn't meant to be a competitive thing. Yeah, exactly. And so I love the idea. I just wanted to warn somebody, don't think that you're going to be buying, like, you know, a super cheap Windows PC and you're going to be playing Overwatch on it. Bad idea. I mean, you can. Yeah, because you bring your own games to this one. I don't know if it's just Steam games or not yet, though. I don't know yet. Okay. Oh, it would, at the very minimum, it would have to be Steam, Blizzard, and Epic at this point. Yeah, I'd feel that way. But it's just beta, too, so who knows. We know Fortnite's supported, though. So it can't be just Steam. So it can't be just Steam. Because Fortnite's not on Steam. So, Intel news. Again. Oh, and League of Legends is supported, so no, it's not just Steam. Okay, so basically we have some Intel news, and then we've got lots of various PC hardware, and then a few other add-ons. Okay, so Intel news. Let's start with the big one. Intel G-Series CPUs with Vega graphics. G, assumedly standing for graphics. So the G-Series, there's a few models, and I'll actually go ahead and tell you guys the model numbers in a minute. But there are 5 different variants of these Intel Kaby Lake G-Series CPUs. And I want to emphasize it's G-Series. I've seen a few outlets calling it the H-Series, and I don't understand, actually, so it's really complicated to understand what it's actually being called, because if you look at the actual Intel, like, press release, newsroom PDF press release, they have 3 things in there. They have the U-Series, ultra portable, ultra lightweight for their ultrabooks. They have the G series, which is high performance, like, you know, mobile stuff. Then they have what they listed as the H series, super high performance gaming, which is like the HQ processors that they've already had. But what's really weird is in this press release, there are no H series processors. Yeah. So it's like they just teased this, but they didn't talk about it. So a lot of people, even me when I was writing the article, almost called it H series. But then I was like, no, this is Kaby Lake G, not H, because they have the G series listed, and that's using Vega. It says that specifically. We're gonna get more processors announced. That means we should be getting more announced. Or there's some major mistake, and these were supposed to be called the H series or something weird like that. Really confusing. What I want to say is, as far as I understand, and as far as the majority of the industry so far understands, it's the G series. If I'm mistaken on that, go ahead and correct me if there's more to this that I didn't understand. But I read through their press release, and they showed the G series being mobile, high-performance platform with Vega graphics. So unless the H series is maybe the higher end version of Vega on here, which is possible, but there's still a G part when you look at the actual, like, CPU list that I have pulled up over here. So I don't know. Anyway, there are 2 variants of the GPU going into it, and then I'll talk about the CPU variants. There's Vega M Mobile GL with 20 compute units. GL assumedly standing for graphics low. 1,280 stream processors. 931 megahertz base, 1,011 megahertz boost clocks. Pretty high performance Vega right here. Yeah. That is pretty substantial. I want to emphasize that. Actually, Daniel, can you find out really quick for me while I'm going over this? What does Vega 64 have compute units wise. Is it 64 compute units?
Yeah, that's what's the 64.
I thought it was 64 something else, but I'm probably wrong, aren't I?
ROPs.
4096, 64 ROPs, but that's not the same as. Yeah, open it up. I want to make sure. Here. No, not custom. Stop it.
No, because the ROPs are the same on both. This doesn't list compute units.
I'm looking on Radeon's technology because I want to make sure I get that right because I want to know what the actual comparison is because clock speeds aren't super far off from it. 4096 stream processors. They are not listing the. Oh man.
How many stream processors?
Each CU has 64 stream processors in Vega 64. So let me look. Here's a Tom's Hardware article. Let me see if I can find exactly how many CUs there are. 16 compute units?
No, it's 64.
Per shader engine. 16 compute units per shader engine. So 64 with 60. Okay. That makes sense. So anyway, obviously not Vega 64 levels of performance, but that can give you a little bit of a judgment there. Slightly lower clock speeds and 20 CUs versus 64 or 56 CUs. The Vega 56 with 56 CUs being very comparable to a 1070 Ti.
Yeah.
So that gives you an idea that these are probably around like a 1050 Ti range.
Which is awesome.
Which is really awesome. Then you've got Vega MGH, which I'm assuming stands for graphics high. I'm making that up. I'm guessing that's where they got it from. They'll probably never say if that's the case or not. 24 compute units. So you're looking at pretty substantial performance right there. You're looking at, just under half of what Vega 56 is capable of. So you're probably looking at like 1050 Ti, maybe even 1060 levels performance out of this.
Yeah.
Of course, we don't know for sure yet. There hasn't been tests to prove it. But anyway, 6 displays are possible because it is AMD Vega. So we're going to get laptops now that can support 6 displays. NVIDIA is still not able to do that. I understand the majority of people don't need that, and NVIDIA does do that on their Quadro cards. But personally, I would like to see GeForce cards that have the ability to run 6 displays for the few that want to do it, because it's not like it's that hard to implement, as far as I understand. So anyway, also, let's go over the actual units. Hey, background, be quiet. Okay, so anyway, so we've got the i7-8809G. These names are horrible, Intel. Please stop it. 4.2 gigahertz is the maximum processor frequency with a 3.1 gigahertz base. So 4.2, assuming that's probably the single core, and then you've got your all-core boost and all that fun stuff. Anyway, so it's a quad core with 8 threads with an 8 megabyte cache and 2 memory channels. The whole lineup has 2 memory channels, and almost the whole lineup has 8 megabytes of cache. So anyway, that's going to be running Vega MGH. Then we've got the Intel i7-8709G, 4.1 gigahertz max, 3.1 gigahertz base, a quad core with 8 threads, and we're also looking at Vega MGH in that. We've got the i7-8706G, 4.1 gigahertz boost, 3.1 gigahertz base, quad core 8 thread with Vega MGL. Then we've got the i7-8705G. Why am I not just... I'm being terrible right now.
Not showing it?
Why am I just not showing it?
I don't know, because
because my hotkeys are going to break it. That's right.
I mean, it'll just change your tab.
It'll change my tab, but I don't want to change my tab, so I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way. All right, so you guys can see the chart here. I keep forgetting I have quality screen cap set up. So, anyway, so you're looking at right here, we've got the 8706 and 8705G that are, as far as we can tell, actually identical, which is weird. Do you see this right here? They're actually identical. Even the GPU. Kind of weird.
The URL.
Yeah, it's actually our site. That is a screenshot from Intel's official press release on this. Then we've got the i5-8305G here, 3.8 gigahertz, 2.8 gigahertz base, 3.8 being the boost. Kind of a low base clock frequency for gaming there, but oh well. Quad core 8 thread.
Oh, the difference is the vPro.
vPro?
Bottom
Intel vPro technology. Okay, why did I not notice that? Okay, so anyway,
what is vPro?
Virtualization technology, as far as I understand, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. And then you're looking at Vega MGL for that. Now, there's one thing that actually kind of makes me mad about this. Let me real quick switch back to our other display, our camera. So there's one thing that actually bothers me about this somewhat significantly, and that's that there's not a clear way to tell which Vega GPU you're getting. You have to actually look at the specs. It'd be really nice if the i5s came with Vega MGL and the i7s came with Vega MGH. Higher performance ones would make sense. Now, I understand why this one's called an i5 and not an i7 because it's got 2 megabytes less L3 cache. That's somewhat significant for a wide variety of reasons for performance, but I don't like that we're getting a quad core with 8 threads that's called an i5 just because it has less cache. I don't really like Intel's naming scheme at this point. It bothers me, and it's really hard to tell which GPU you're getting.
So vPro is pretty much a business thing.
But for virtualization or no?
No, not necessarily. Like it's a bunch of different things. It's security, remote management, general computing infrastructure stuff.
So it's going to be flawed. You're going to be able to hack it, right?
Yeah.
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 Okay, so...
Intel Stable Image Platform, Intel Authentication Solution.
I see. So basically, we can charge more for our business customers. Okay, so anyway...
ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
So, looks pretty cool. I'm actually incredibly excited for these processors. Again, as far as I know, the whole lineup's called G series. Potentially the ones running the Vega MGH are the H series. I'm not sure. The nomenclature doesn't identify that, which is frustrating.
And they already have an H series.
They have the HQ series.
Yes.
Yeah, not an H series. But yeah, it's getting really convoluted. Intel, next time you release processors, again, you don't have to pay me royalties for this one either. Wipe your entire naming scheme other than i3, i5, i7 and fix it. Mm-hmm. And I mean, keep the Xeon nomenclature. Keep it so that the general public has no idea what's going on. But us enthusiasts and semi-enthusiasts don't sit here getting angry at you like I am right now.
But you get angry at everything.
I do not get angry at everything.
Just
I get angry at almost everything Intel does.
And most companies that aren't AMD.
That is not true. I get angry at AMD too.
Not that often.
Last podcast, I got pissed off at AMD.
I know. But I can give you shit for it.
Also, Intel, shut your mouth about mega tasking. Please, you can't just coin the term mega tasking and use it in all your branding. It's multiple enthusiast outlets have talked about how that's a stupid term. It's multitasking, extreme multitasking, whatever you want to call it. Stop with the term mega tasking.
No, dude.
It triggers me.
Hey, AMD should start using that to make fun of them.
It'd be really funny.
Like, oh, your 10-core can megatask?
What about our 16-core can megatask and it's the same price?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
We can really megatask.
Oh, man. And Joe was just mentioning he hates the new Xeon naming scheme. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Here, let's just release 56 processors. Yeah, thanks. Oh, and let's have tiers. We're going to have bronze, silver, gold, another gold that's completely different, and then platinum. Because, you know, when you name things like...
They should hire NVIDIA's, what was it?
The, I can't remember. You're talking about the... What are you talking about?
You know what I'm talking about. The graphics card, I'm blanking on the name right now.
Not the... I'm blanking on the name, too.
The Titan.
Yeah, the Titan. Duh. Yeah. So, seriously, though, like this, it's the new Xeon lineup is so horrible. It is completely awful. Even though they're actually pretty good processors. Why didn't they just go like copper, bronze, silver, gold, platinum? No, they were like, hey, I had a great idea, guys. Let's use the standard 4, types of metal out there. We're going to have bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. Oh, yeah, that's a great idea. Wait, we have a lot in this lineup, and there's something that fits in the middle there. What are we going to do, guys? Let's just call it gold as well, because why not? It's not like people need an identifier to know the difference. We'll just leave it like that. Scrap all of our numbered naming. We're just going to kind of throw in this random stuff here that makes no sense at all.
They should have taken the regular gold and called it gold-ish.
See, that could work.
At least it's different.
I mean, they could call it Gilver, gold and silver. That was really bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I hope that's not a word that means something really offensive.
It probably is.
Anyway. All right, so we're moving on with Intel news because we're at the hour mark and we got so much more to cover. The Intel NUCs are out. There's new Intel NUCs. They're the Hades Canyon NUCs. They're really powerful, really cool. These actually look cool. These are using the new G series, Kaby Lake G series chips. So you're going to be getting actually pretty substantially good performance out of them. So we've got the, again with the naming, we've got the, here's the model number of the NUC, okay? Again, Hades Canyon's the code name. You want to know the model number, what people are going to call it? The NUC 8i7HVK. Or NUC 8i7HVK, if you wanted to say it as probably a nerd would say, okay? Vega MGH, so 24 compute units. It's a quad core. It's just the G series CPUs with a 65-watt TDP. Or, sorry, that one is a 100-watt TDP. Then there or that one might be the one running Vega. I might have messed up the spreadsheet here. Let me see if I can go to my article and see if I can fix this. Oh boy, I think I messed up on that. Let me go to my NUC article. No, I didn't mess up on the article. I think I messed up on my my document here. SpaghettiOs.
Oh my
God. I'm sorry. Let me go to Intel's website, make sure I get this right. So, full spec sheet. I am sorry, guys, for having that potentially wrong. So, there's the NUC i7 HVK. That is running Vega MGH. Yes, so that is, okay, so that was correct, but that is a 100-watt TDP, not a 65-watt TDP. I said that part wrong. Then there's the NUC 8 i7 HNK. So, one letter difference in a long product name. Intel's product names are getting almost worse than Acer at this point.
Yeah.
With Vega MGL, so 20 compute units and a 65-watt TDP. Both are cooled by a new heatsink design. They're slightly larger than the previous NUC, the Skull Candy NUCs, but they look like they're going to be really high performance, great for a home theater PC or something like that. They're really cool. I'm actually very excited for these. Of course, not really much word on pricing yet, so we'll see. But they definitely look interesting, and they should be coming out later this year. So those are pretty cool. A little bit more about them. I/O wise, we're looking at let's see here. We're looking at dual Thunderbolt 3 ports. That's pretty cool. We're looking at dual gigabit Ethernet because, you know, on a NUC that's designed to be small and compact and used as a home theater PC type stuff, for some reason you might need 2 gigabit LAN ports. Whatever. I guess if they could fit it, might as well, right? 4 USB 3.0 ports. As far as I understand, they are 3.0, so I don't think they're 3.1 Gen 1, which are kind of the same thing, but not exactly. So anyway, 2 HDMI outputs. One is in the front, designed for VR, so it is, you know, VR capable. They're both 2.0A, so you're going to be able to output to 4K displays and whatnot. USB Type-C 3.1 Gen 2 on the front as well, so 10 gigabits per second there, as well as a USB 3.1 Gen 1 on the front. And then there is a USB Type-A, so that's your standard USB size, for charging. Does not have any connectivity to the device. It just supplies power for charging like a smartphone or something. SD card reader. Thank you. If you need to do productive work on a budget, great system for it, especially if you want it small and you want to attach it to like your monitor or something. Yeah. And then you've got an IR port. Thank you, Intel, for remembering an IR port on something that's highly likely to be used as a home theater PC. Very much appreciated. Up to 32 gigs of RAM, dual M.2 SSDs, gigabit wireless with Bluetooth from Intel, of course, and a 230-watt PSU for both. And from what I understand, the higher-end model with the 100-watt TDP is supposed to be overclockable. Maybe they both are. I don't know how confirmed that is. But I don't know if you're really going to be able to push the overclock to anything at all.
Yeah.
Okay. Ready for the next stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I've been doing most of the talking, Daniel.
PC hardware.
Yes. So,
NZXT motherboard.
NZXT is making a motherboard. No, you heard us right. NZXT.
The case manufacturer.
Or NZXT if you're in, you know, that part of the world.
The good parts of the world.
Okay, so Z370 motherboard called the N7 from NZXT. Okay, so anyway, we don't use that kind of terms around here unless we're referring to the other place.
Just remember, it's pronounced Porsche.
It's pronounced Porsche, Daniel. Stop it. Stop it. Don't trigger me on stream. No. Okay, so this motherboard looks incredibly interesting to me, actually. I don't know what your thoughts on it are, if you've looked into the N7 much.
Amazing.
So finally... Whoa! It only took a brand new motherboard manufacturer to realize that people don't like color that they can't customize on their motherboards. I'm looking at you, Acer, for putting RGB on a motherboard that has color accents on it.
Excuse me? You're not going to call out Asus for those ugly gold motherboards they had for quite a while?
Those are ugly and horrible, but they're not a conflict. What I'm getting at is, hey, here's a motherboard that has customizable colors to match your build with giant bits of red.
They're a conflict with everything that's ever existed.
Except the Titan V. So as long as you have one of those motherboards and you need a Titan V...
They made those motherboards before they even made their own graphics cards with gold.
Yeah, but But now if you were still running those motherboards from Z87 era, you can run a Titan V and it'll look good.
Yeah, because there's a whole lot of people that dropped $3,000 on a graphics card.
But they can't afford new hardware. Yeah, no. I understand that. And we, you know, if we were podcasting at the time, I would have criticized them. But what I will say is please stop it. I've seen Asus do it a little bit, but they're generally great about it. Even my ASRock motherboard that is, I said Acer earlier. I meant ASRock motherboards. My apologies. Acer isn't good enough to make motherboards. So anyway, my ASRock motherboard is the X399 Professional Gaming. Horrible name.
Yeah,
well, the idea is it's a professional and a gaming motherboard. No,
it's for pro gamers.
But no, it's for pro gamers, right? Because you want Threadripper if you're gaming, right? You don't want.
I do.
Yeah, right. Well, if you're a pro gamer, you know.
Yeah, you can run multiple games at the same time.
Great idea. I like.
How do you think they become pros? They play Hearthstone and CS:GO
and 3 copies of Overwatch
with the same mouse.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway. My motherboard, even on the chipset heatsink, has a tiny strip of red that's really hard to see. And as you know, my system is called Project Monochrome, so I'm gonna have to figure out how to paint and/or cover that up because I don't want any color other than black and white in my system. That ruins the aesthetic and pisses me off. Why would you put RGB on something and then choose a color for it? Lots of companies do this, not just motherboard companies. Stop it. If it has RGB, it needs to be black or white. That's it.
I propose a name change. Project Monochrome-ish.
Hey, I like it.
I'm just going to start adding ish to the end of everything that's kind of...
You know, yeah. So anyway, this is not ish. So NZXT understands that people like to color match their builds. So with the Z370 motherboard, oh man, I really hope they release some AMD motherboards.
Yeah.
It has... really cool design. So you can actually the motherboard comes in black. It has metal and plastic shrouds over the majority of the motherboard. I'll open up a link to show you guys what it looks like here in a second. So it's really a pretty cool looking motherboard on its own. But the metal heat sinks you can actually get in different colors. So first off, it comes in black or white standard. But you can order special color heatsinks. So the rest of it is all black, all the plastic parts and stuff.
Are you sharing that motherboard on screen cap?
I'm going to in a moment. But you can actually get the heatsinks changed to colors. So I wanted to open up another link before I screen cap. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and screen cap really quick for you guys here. All right, so this is what the motherboard looks like, courtesy of PC Perspective. Thank you guys. I'm using your article here to show us off. So it's all black, right? Sleek looking motherboard. And in fact, that right there is just enough for me to be like, if I was building a Z370 build, oh yeah, I'm going to buy that motherboard because it'll match literally anything. But the metal parts for the heat sinks on the VRMs and the heat sinks on the chipset can actually be changed to black or white when you order the motherboard, or more color options for $15 per heatsink. I don't know if that's for a set or not. I didn't look into that. It might be for a singular.
Click on the different colors.
It looks like it's for a set. Look at that.
That's what it's for.
Huh?
Yeah, so it's that. It's essentially that build.
It's the set. Yeah. So you get the set for $15, which is really cheap. That is really
The white
awesome.
one looks really cool too.
The white one's cool, and again, you can order it in black or white.
The black one. That one.
That looks really cool. Which, yeah, I don't know if you can, when you order the motherboard, I don't know if you can change this area to white or not. It looks like you might be able to. That wasn't really made clear from what I understand at CES. I didn't see anybody talking about whether or not you can get the plastic shroud changed. But the heat sinks you can definitely buy different. So maybe you can buy it with the white plastic shroud and then the black heat sinks, so black and white, and then buy different colored heat sinks if you want it to match differently. I find this incredibly cool. You can color match it to your build. It's a great idea. And honestly, black or white being the standards for it makes sense because that'll match anything. Really cool looking setup.
Did you check out the AnandTech review?
Not yet. No, no, I did not. No.
Because they did review the one with the white cover.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Yeah.
So you must. Okay, so you can order the board in black or white,
yes,
and then customize the heatsink color. That makes sense. Okay. So, yeah, that wasn't made entirely clear in the article there.
Overall build quality is solid. If anything needs improvement, it's the mounting of the metal cover. That said, not many will be taking it off in the first place, as there isn't really a need to do so. Contact from the heatsink VRM and the chipset IC was good. Thermal pads made contact with what they're intended to, so essentially it all works good. Performance was on par with other motherboards. Overclocking
Joe made a good point. He has the Dark Base 700 from Be Quiet, and he was really glad that the logo wasn't orange, because Be Quiet's branding is orange, and they have orange branded cases. Yeah, I appreciate that. A brand that gets it is really, really nice to see. And Asus has been, for the most part, doing that with their motherboards, where it's like all black with some RGB. That's how you do it. You have to understand that it doesn't matter what your logo is. People color match these days. If you're making a high-end PC part, it needs to be able to color match.
Yeah.
Now to shotgun through a little bit more.
One last thing I want to mention on that.
Yeah.
So it looks like as of right now, there isn't actually a proper manual voltage. From best they can tell, there is an automatic.
It has a 15 phase VRM, so they can probably add that through a BIOS update.
Yeah, that's what they're mentioning, and this is they're essentially saying they believe there's some adaptive voltage going on behind the scenes. Even though there's no visible option for adaptive or offset voltage.
Oh, I'm sure there is. Load line calibration standard on most boards.
They just changed it to 5 gigahertz by just changing the CPU multiplier, and it upped the voltage more than necessary.
Okay, yeah. It's using load line calibration is what that is. It's basically, the CPU needs more voltage? Well, I'll give it more.
Yeah.
Within certain parameters.
By them saying more than necessary, and this person who reviewed it generally overclocking, I'm assuming it's using more voltage than most motherboards do at the same gigahertz for that processor.
Probably not at the stock speeds, but once you start bumping that multiplier up, yes, that's what load line calibration does, though.
They're saying when they hit 5 gigahertz, it uses more than it should at 5 gigahertz.
Yes, and that's what load line calibration does, is it overcompensates on purpose to make sure it doesn't crash. So, which is iffy.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're going to BIOS update it to fix that. As far as I know, you can't even purchase this board yet, technically. It's not even available for purchase. Got to jump through some stuff quickly, though, so I want to go over the rest of the specs. 2 M.2 PCIe devices, mostly standard features overall, and it looks really cool. I'm not going to go over SATA port counts and stuff like that. Silverstone. They announced several things, but the thing that caught my eye is their essential PSUs have a little bit more in their line. So they're all 80 plus gold throughout the lineup here. I like to see 80 plus gold as the minimum, in my opinion. I don't like going with bronze and stuff unless you are on a serious budget or you're just doing like basic work so you don't need high efficiency. So the names basically describe the wattage here, and they're all semi-modular. So they've got the ATX power, the ATX pin, and I think a GPU 6/8 pin. Pre-attached, but the rest is modular. So you've got the ET550-HD, the ET650-HD, and the ET750-HD. Normally I complain about model number nomenclature, but 2 things here. First off, that's even easier to understand than Intel's nomenclature for their frickin' NUCs for the public, and these are power supplies.
Yeah.
Second off, it describes the wattage. Third, I don't mind if a power supply, a very technical part, has a complicated number.
Yeah.
It's when you have a CPU or something like that, where it's like people want to know what CPU you have, and it's like, oh, it's this long number I can't remember, or what NUC you have, oh, it's this long number I can't remember. People, your power supply, unless you're a serious enthusiast, you don't need to remember what the model number is. So I'm okay with them being weird. Again, the wattages are respective, so 550 watts, 650 watts, and 750 watts. Pretty good range. 550 watts is great for a budget system, and 750 watts will handle the majority of high-end systems out there with a single GPU, unless you're going to the extreme end with higher than 8 core processors.
Yeah.
So,
and if they decided to come out with like a platinum variant of this, for example, depending on how they've designed the naming, I could see them just doing like ET, 750 HP.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So, Cooler Master. Whole bunch of stuff from Cooler Master. I'm going to, again, we're just jumping through these as quick as I can. If you want to butt in, you can. I know I've been doing most of the talking. That's also because I probably wrote this section.
Well, and you know more about I was focusing more on the general tech stuff. You focused
which is a little further down.
Hardware.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got the Master Air G100M. It is a CPU cooler with a horizontal fan, meaning the fan is horizontal to the motherboard. It's really unique looking. let me open up the source really quick and give you guys a look of it. It's got RGB. It's good for small form factor builds. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you guys this. I'm going to screen cap this, and courtesy of PC Perspective again. Thank you guys. Good reporting. It's that. Looks really cool. Looks like a good idea. I think it's a very nice design, and of course it's RGB. They also announced some liquid coolers that look like they're going to be the Asetek Gen 6 as far as I know. I'm just taking a guess. I'm not 100% sure, but of course they're Asetek based. And they've got RGB fans and an RGB water block that actually looks unique. I'm looking at Corsair, more on that in a little bit. And then they've got their new cases here. These are the same case, the H500M and H500P, just they're different colors on the casing, but they still got the RGB fans in the front. And then they've got these 2 cases here, the Q300 Q300P and Q300L are designed to be, they can stand in any direction with these types of feet that they have here, so on their front or anything weird, and you can actually mount this I/O panel in a whole bunch of different places, 6 different locations as it says in the article. Again, PC Perspective did a really good write-up on all these. There's the Masterbox MB500 and TD500L. I really hate this look. I think it's old and disgusting. The front panel here really grosses me out. At least they understand airflow. Daniel, what do you think about this? Look over here.
Yeah, I'm looking.
It's kind of gross, isn't it? I don't like that. That looks like something from, like, 2006. Yeah. Just with glass.
Yeah, some people like it, I guess.
I guess. You know, if you like it and you can make it work, whatever. And then down here, they've got the updates to their MC series. They haven't really talked about a lot of details in that, though. So, anyway, going back to us. So, cool stuff from Cooler Master there. There's nothing else. That was pretty much Cooler Master's whole section there. I was just using the PC Perspective article, so thank them for that. That's pretty awesome. Alright, so moving through Corsair. Corsair had a huge amount of announcements. One of them that kind of makes me mad, although there's a little bit more on it that I'll talk about right after that makes me even more mad. So anyway, going back to it, so Corsair, they have new all-in-one liquid coolers, the H150i Pro, which is a 360mm Asetek Gen 6 based cooler, and then they've got the H115i Pro, which is also a Gen 6 based cooler, but is a 280mm. So this is a PC Games N that wrote up about this. I'm going to go ahead and do a screen cap of this for you guys really quick. Sorry for this screen OBSception there. So this is what they look like, and then you've got the 360mm. Now, from testing from various review sites that I've seen, I've gone through several ones, like Gamers Nexus is a good example, as well as I think Guru 3D did some coverage on it. The performance of it really isn't that much better, if any better, than a 280mm cooler. The idea, though, is having a little bit more radiator space. You can run your fans at slightly lower RPMs, theoretically with the same cooling capacity, so you can have an even quieter system. The water blocks, in my opinion, are disgusting for 2 reasons. A, they have silver, so they're not just black and white. Could conflict with a few things, not a big deal. But this water block design, you know, you see NZXT releasing their Kraken series with this really cool, like, holographic style, circular, like, infinite mirror system, right? And then you have this, it's like, oh yeah, we slapped a Corsair logo on it and added RGB. Yep. Okay, whatever, Corsair. Thanks, we appreciate it.
I feel like their last ones were better looking.
Their last ones were better looking, in my opinion. So anyway, they look cool. It's about time that Corsair released a 360mm radiator. I'm excited for that. And they also come with Corsair's magnetic levitation fans, which are known for being really quiet. Their performance is not super great, but their quiet level is really, really, really good for the price. They're not cheap by any means, but they're very quiet, especially when it comes to the frequencies that are more audible to the human ear and more irritating. They have a really... they don't have as much motor noise, so it's mostly just wind noise. So, I mean, they might be in certain circumstances less annoying than, say, even like something from Noctua or Noise Blocker. I have not tested that personally, but just a matter of can you hear the motor at all or not. I don't think, as far as I know, you can really hear the motor on the magnetic levitation fans. So they released the K63 keyboard. It comes in Cherry MX Red only. It has no number pad, blue LEDs only. It's a wireless mechanical, though. I'm really mad at Corsair for A, not allowing me to choose different options for a wireless mechanical, because people have been asking for wireless mechanical. There's one out there as far as I know right now, other than this one that you can actually purchase. And they're only letting Cherry MX Reds. Cherry MX Reds are great for gaming, but what if you want a wireless mech for doing article writing so you want blues, you know?
Me?
Or you want browns because you do both. I mean I use buckling spring now, but...
Yeah.
You're frustrated about this, right?
Oh, yeah. Very much. I mean, as soon as I saw this, I was like, oh, that's cool, I might buy one, because I want a wireless mechanical, and I don't want a Logitech one, because I hate their keycaps. And then I saw that it was Reds.
Didn't they fix that on the wireless mechanical one?
But they're still not Cherry MX, so I can't buy it. And no, they're still not that good.
You hate their switches, too, though. You don't like their switches as much?
No, I'm saying that you can't buy the keycaps that fit on Cherry MXs.
Oh, you like custom keycaps? Yes. Right. Well, but they fixed they're not all weird shaped cheap anymore.
No, yeah.
Oh, they're still cheap. They're just not cheap and
they're
not uncomfortable. They're just cheap and break.
I've had Logitech.
Well, they're ABS based. What do you expect?
I've had Logitech keycaps that break, so I'm just not wanting to deal with that.
Yeah, and I have a feeling they might have fixed their keycap breakage problems, which we both experienced on multiple Logitech keyboards, mechanical keyboards, that is.
But they still feel cheap to reviewers, and so I'm just not wanting to risk dealing with it.
And not only that, but ABS keycaps most ABS keycaps are not good quality. There's a few out there that are good. And so if you really want good keycaps, you need PBT.
Yeah.
Most keyboards ship with ABS. Things from Corsair and stuff do as well because they're a lot cheaper to manufacture unless you're going super premium or super special. Especially if you want light pass-through, PBT is a lot harder to manufacture versus ABS. But yes, Logitech keycaps tend to not be very good. Anyway, this frustrates you.
Yeah, at this point, I'm not expecting to buy a wireless mech until Razer comes out with one, which is really sad. I would rather buy a Corsair.
Yeah.
That's
want using not
blues.
Kale. Yeah. You'd rather buy a Corsair that's using not Kale.
Blues are like a standard Switch. Come
they
on.
are. They were the ones that really made Cherry famous.
Yeah.
Even though in a lot of ways you could argue that the other Switches are better. Blues made them famous because they had a really good tactile feel.
That's the main thing I care about.
And the click going along with it, even though some people say, well, Browns are just a little lighter weight but still have the tactile feel. They have the feel
as much.
They don't feel quite as much. But also, it tricks your brain when you hear the click.
I know.
And you feel it
But even
more.
when I'm like wearing headphones to where I pretty much can't hear the click.
Yeah, no, Browns are lighter. They have a lighter actuation force.
I've gotten so used to typing on blues.
Yeah.
And Razer greens.
You should try and get a cherry green keyboard at some point, by the way.
I want to, I just don't want to spend the money.
And there's no RGB ones right now.
I don't care about that much.
Oh, I thought you did. Because RGB everything, right?
Yeah.
Also, Joe mentioned he has 2 of the magnetic levitation fans, and they make no motor noise. Good to know. I haven't used them myself, so that's good to know. Thank you for noting that. Okay.
Also, I wanted to mention one other thing.
Yeah.
There are wireless mechanical keyboards that have smooth switches that have been out for a long time that are actually really cheap. They're just not that great.
Right.
I actually have...
Are they running cherry switches? No. Okay, so they're running...
I don't know who it was running. I actually have
Kale.
one. I have one that I bought from Walmart for $30.
And it's a mechanical?
Yes.
It's labeled as a mechanical.
Yes.
So basically that means it's not a rubber dome is all that means
Correct.
At this point. Yeah.
No, it was actually one that Unbox Therapy did a video about like a few years ago. And I was like, that's pretty cool. I'll buy it.
Might as well. Right.
And I still have it. It works.
It works, yeah. But a cherry wireless keyboard would be super cool. And honestly, no matter what the technical data says, cherry switches are better than Kale switches. You might not be able to feel it. They might not be... The consistency problems might be mostly solved with Kale due to Razer helping them. The longevity of cherry switches is...
We don't know about Razer's, though. I mean, realistically, Razer's switches have only been out for a couple of years.
So we can't really judge how reliable they are. Because I know people, like, literally my grandparents, they have a keyboard. I think it has Cherry MX Blacks, which is a unique keycap. Might have reds, I don't know. Anyway, really old keyboard. I mean, we're talking they have had this keyboard on their PC since before I really even knew how to use a computer. I kind of started using their computer, with that keyboard. Still works perfectly, 0 problems. So we can't really judge with Kale switches for sure yet. And just saying, oh, it has more gold in the Kale switches, so they're going to be more reliable than Cherry, does not equal that. The gold's not necessarily the problem. You've also got the mechanical parts that can fail. Anyway, the Corsair K63 keyboard, it's supposed to be really low latency, wireless mechanical, sucks that it's blue LED only. Really, if you're going to do no RGB, white matches everything. White LEDs. You shouldn't use red or blue or yellow LEDs only as your only option. It's either RGB or white or not lit. That's my opinion on it. Really strong standpoint. Because that means literally anybody that cares about color scheme at all that's not having blue in their color scheme will not buy this keyboard. They just will not do it. People that care about color scheme even a little bit, don't sacrifice that for a keyboard like this.
Yeah.
$110.
Especially when you can buy Logitech's that doesn't have lights.
Exactly, yeah. $110, 75-hour battery life with the lights turned, I think, turned on minimum brightness. I'm not 100% sure on that, actually. And 10 hours on max brightness. Apparently, they're super bright, though, so max brightness isn't a big deal. You probably don't want to be running it at max brightness all the time.
Another reason to buy Logitech's, because 18 months of battery.
Yeah, exactly. And you can turn the lights off, of course. Now... Of course, they also announced the Dark Core RGB mouse. It's a 24-hour battery, it's wireless, and it has Qi charging. No, this does not mean that it charges while you're using it on the mouse mat. More on that in a moment, though. $90, looks pretty cool. It'll charge on any compatible Qi charger. So in theory, you could have, if you already had a Qi phone charger, you just buy this, and when you go to bed, you just...
This is what I've been asking for years.
This is what you've been asking for. But
quite
here's
literally
the cool part.
Exactly this, with the mouse pad.
Yeah. Here's the cool part. So then there's the Corsair MM1000 mouse pad. It is a mouse pad with an integrated Qi charger in the top right corner. So you can charge your phone from your mouse pad when you're using your mouse for gaming.
Yep.
But when you're done using your computer, you just
move. Yeah.
Boom, done. And again, the nice thing about this mouse is if you already, about the mouse portion of it, if you already have a Qi charger, you don't even need to buy the mouse pad. You just charge your phone on it when you're using your computer. When you're done, you take your phone off, you put your mouse up there. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
$80 for the mouse pad. And it can charge the Dark Core Aura phone or any Qi compatible device.
And if you guys are looking for, like, if you have a phone that supports wireless charging and you are contemplating this mouse and you have a few other devices to charge, Amazon has for like $30-40 these. I have one. These charging stands that can hold like 4 devices. They have 4 USB ports, and then on the front they have a Qi charging pad. And so if you had that on your desk, you wouldn't need the mouse pad. You could just throw it on there when you're done.
Yeah.
On this pad that you can charge like your iPad or another extra.
All your other stuff on. Yeah. So we have a half hour left, so we need to seriously. I'm gonna speed this up.
All right, AZXT. Or AX 1600i.
So so we're gonna be looking at. So Corsair released a new power supply, the AX 1600i. It's just what you think. It is more efficient than the AX 1500i and higher wattage. It is a total beast. We don't really know the price yet. It has a 10-year warranty. It's a titanium rated, obviously, with all Japanese capacitors. It's using gallium nitride instead of silicon for the transistors in it, so less heat, and they're smaller, which is what allowed them to make it 20 millimeters shorter than the AX 1500i, yet 100 watts higher power. Of course, it supports Corsair Link, and this is the amazing part, 640 watts can be used before the fan turns on. The fan turns on at 640 watts.
So what you're saying is buy this and don't use a fan.
Yeah, basically what we're saying is buy this for your system that could be powered by a 650 watt power supply. The fan will never turn on. Yeah. You're good to go. Or buy this, and when you're idling with your super OP rig, the fan won't turn on.
So what you're saying is you're buying a new power supply.
No, because mine turns the fan off too. Mine's a 1500 watt Silverstone that turns the fan off up to like 500 watts.
But this is 640.
I know. I'm a little bit frustrated because I probably would have bought this one instead of the one I have now because it's shorter. The AX 1500i was technically above specification for my case, although it would probably fit. The Silverstone, I think I did a video on it. Maybe I didn't. The Silverstone 1500 watt is a titanium rated, and it was the smallest high wattage unit on the market right now. One more thing I want to go over power supply related. EVGA showed off an 80 plus platinum 2200 watt power supply. Look at this over here on my screen. I'm going to go ahead and switch to the screen cap. Again, courtesy of PC Perspective. I'm using them a lot tonight. Thank you guys. 2200 watts. Now, there's actually a reason for this, and I'll tell you in a moment. It is a total monster. It's only platinum, not titanium rated. Not sure exactly why that's the case, why they didn't try and go for titanium, or maybe it just barely didn't make it and that was the goal. Total beast. The reason I wanted to say that was a kind of important thing to note. So you would think, okay, 1600 watts, nobody's going to use 1600 watts. Even 1500 watts, nobody's probably going to use 1500 watts. But A, if you're a miner, you might need this much wattage. But B, if you look at how much wattage a 7980XE 18-core Intel processor with a high overclock, as well as like 2 Vega, or if you're doing a workstation, how about 4 Vega FEs? Right there, just from those alone, I mean, you're looking at like 2,000 watts, or like 1,600, 1,700 watts, just for your GPUs and CPU. So this is actually understandable that they would make a power supply, meaning if you need the seriously high wattage stuff because you're doing a workstation, or you have the most baller gaming rig ever, apparently.
Or you have that motherboard that supports like 16 cards for mining.
Yeah, or you're mining. This is a great unit. So I think EVGA is being really smart because now miners have something else to buy from them, and high-end workstations have something to buy from them. Okay, let's see. What power supply do I have? It is the, I can't remember the model number off the top of my head, unfortunately. Daniel, you continue with the ASUS stuff. I'm going to find my power supply model number.
Okay, so ASUS announced what's called the Aura Terminal. Now what this is it mounts on your monitor. It's RGB LED strips that match the output of your display. So if you guys know what Light Pack is, it's essentially that. It captures what's going on the edges of your screen and projects that color onto the wall behind it. This is both used for better immersion, and it's actually really good for your eyes to have any kind of bias lighting. Even if you don't want the background color to change, if you would just like set white, for example, bias lighting is good for your eyes because it means that especially if you're playing in the dark, you have less variance. And so if the background is really dark, that's not good for your eyes because they have to deal with adjusting to both at the same time.
Not good. Okay, found my power supply to answer your question, Joe. Interestingly enough, on Amazon, it has 2 reviews that are both 1 star because one guy bought 5 of them and 4 of them were broken on day 1, and another guy bought one and it was broken on day 1. That surprises me because I've had 0 issues with it, and Silverstone normally makes incredible power supplies. So I'm wondering if that's just a fluke and they're really, really, really unlucky.
You should probably review it.
Oh, I think I did. I don't know if I did a video or not, but
no, I'm saying on Amazon.
Yeah, I should probably help that. The other thing is maybe they were buying it from a third-party seller and it was fraudulent. That's my other thought. Okay, so anyway, my power supply is the Silverstone. Model number is SST, but really it's not what you would call it. Dash ST1500-TI. ST1500. So that stands for the Strider series or something. 1500 titanium. Makes sense. I'm really happy with the unit.
It's just Silverstone tech.
Yeah, it's posted by Silverstone on Amazon. By Silverstone's like official. So I'm guessing it was a fluke what those guys got. Yeah. So anyway, that's my power supply. All right, so you just talked about the Asus the Aura terminal, right? Yeah. I'm probably getting one. Really excited. No word on price yet. ROG Spotlight. Basically, literally an RGB logo little spotlight that you can shine on the wall. So if you're a huge ROG fan, hey, it'd be great for themed builds. And who knows how many they're making. If your theme is around ROG or you're ROG sponsored, like every build from every reviewer that's sponsored by Asus is going to have an ROG spotlight featured. I guarantee it.
They should include this with the ROG PG65.
That's a good idea. Also, Joe is asking, holy overkill, but why not, right? Well, considering I'm running a 1950X and plan to have 2 GPUs, 2 hard drives, 5 SSDs, you know, it starts to be to the point when I start overclocking everything, especially with some of the high wattage GPUs and stuff. Now, I wanted something like buy this power supply and sit on it for like 5 years, good to go. It also has a good warranty. I think it was a 7-year warranty, so even if it does break, they're going to replace it. But I don't think that that's the case. If it does go out, I will 100% make a video about it for you guys when it goes out. Even if it's 7 years from now.
And if your motherboard goes out, you only have to wait a few weeks.
If my motherboard goes out, I'm going to be really mad. But I've been pushing mine, and it's been fine so far. So I think you just got unlucky, which can happen with any manufacturer.
Yeah.
But I've also had ASRock boards fail before. But maybe ASRock's high end is getting better, while their low end is just kind of staying where it was, kind of not the best quality. You know. I would hope though that their high end would include your board, because your board's a high end board.
And it's also a board that's literally only sold by one retailer. It's Newegg exclusive.
Yeah, exactly. And I would hope.
Which I'm wondering if that's why Newegg went around the normal RMA policy for it.
Could be.
For reference, I have an ASRock X370 Killer SLI AC, which is the Newegg exclusive model that has built-in Wi-Fi, and it worked for like a month, and then I got blue screens all the time, like even when I'm installing the OS at blue screens.
Yeah.
Literally do not have Windows installed on a blue screen somehow.
So, from our diagnosis, we're 99% sure it's his motherboard.
Yeah. And it's with different errors. Like, it's never the same error twice in a row.
Yep.
So I don't know what's going on.
And if I wasn't using mine at the time, I would have let you borrow my motherboard to use your system.
So I RMA'd it. It took a while to get the RMA process really going. Newegg now has it, and they're processing it.
Joe says he's an MSI and EVGA fanboy when it comes to Mobos.
MSI has such a cool monitor. Sorry,
they do, yes. I'm an Asus fan when it comes to motherboards, but honestly, from what I see, it looks like the really, really, really high-end stuff, we're talking the Extreme platform, like X399 and X299, it looks like, from what I have seen so far, Asus and ASRock are actually kind of making the most impressive
Which would make sense since they were from the same company.
Yeah. Whereas on the mid-range, but still top-tier stuff, we're talking like the $350, $400 boards for the mainstream platform. So still the same price as my $400 board. MSI, Asus,
NZXT.
and NZXT. NZXT is probably, actually, I bet you that board's going to be $200.
It's $300.
$300? Oh, is that what the price was? But anyway, yeah, so Asus, all of them are doing pretty good, but EVGA is also pretty impressive on that. But motherboards, I try and go by the model, and it also depends on the tier of stuff you're buying. I've been pretty happy with my ASRock. I bought my ASRock X399 Gaming Professional specifically because it has 10 gigabit Ethernet as well as 2 gigabit Ethernet ports. Two 1
MSRP
gigabit Ethernet ports.
$299.99.
Okay, for the NZXT board. All right, we've really got a rapid fire. Holy.
Go.
We might go a little late. Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't even care. So the ROG Strix Flare keyboard, this is actually kind of cool. So it's an RGB Cherry MX Blue keyboard, but it also can come in red or browns in the future. It's only available in blues, at least at launch. The volume knob is on the left side to be closer to your hand that's using WAS, so you can change the volume without taking your hand off the mouse. That is actually a very subtle but kind of nice feature. I mean, they talked about it. It's like,
Can I remap it to something that's not volume?
Probably. I would assume they didn't confirm, but I would
because I could see how I could make that.
I mean,
work.
you could make custom software to do that too if you wanted. But yeah, it's just a subtle thing, but I like it. You know, whatever. It's just it's a change. But it was like people, I'm sure, were like, "Why the heck did you put it on the left?" Oh, I mean, pretty simple. The other reason, the right side of the motherboard has a plastic piece that you can take out and get the dimensions for and actually put your own like company logo or gaming team logo or something like that there. That's RGB and lights up. I would be switching the screen cap to show you all these things, but we really got to be quick because we're only halfway through our dock right now. Asus OLED monitor. Very cool monitor. It's the first monitor that's OLED as far as I know. I don't even think Dell's made an OLED yet, have
No,
they?
Dell only had OLED in a laptop.
Right, okay.
Yeah, they had an the Azure or the Alienware 13-inch had an OLED. And that was it.
Yes, okay, that's right. So first OLED monitor, as far as we're aware, for a kind of consumer area, it's the PQ22UC. Thank you, Asus, for at least keeping your model numbers really consistent and not adding like 6 extra numbers afterwards. I'm talking to you, Acer. Anyway, it's 4K from their Pro Art series. It's a 21.6-inch display, kind of weird, but presumably it's an OLED display that's going to be used in some other stuff. Because it's, you know, display panels oftentimes are manufactured by various companies. This is why you don't oftentimes see like really high-end gaming laptop panels.
Yeah, Asus definitely doesn't make their own OLED.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, maybe we're gonna see like an 18-inch tablet, or sorry, 21-inch tablet, like type, not a tablet portable, but like a tablet type device from like Samsung or something to put in your kitchen. But that's the same reason that you see, like, for example, this display housing here for my Sager laptop, it's the MP9872, would hold an 18.4-inch display, but nobody, as far as I know, makes an 18.4-inch G-Sync display, so they put a 17.3 in here. Mine's not even G-Sync, but that's the options that they have, because Dell made the 18.4-inch, but they never made a G-Sync version as far as I know. So anyway, so it's got true 10-bit color. It's 99% of DCI-P3 color space. That's insane. It's powered by USB Type-C.
Cool.
Cool. So that means you plug in one cable and you're good to go.
Yep.
You don't have to. Yeah, it's like that's super cool, which makes sense because OLED's really efficient.
Yeah.
$3,000. Q1 2018 is the release expected.
Makes sense.
Honestly, really a cheap price for an OLED monitor. Literally the first OLED monitor, and it's only $3,000, and it's 4K. Like that's not bad.
A couple of years ago, for regular 4K monitors were that price.
Exactly.
Like and when MKBHD had his video when he first got his 4K.
Yeah.
That was $3,000.
They were like they were like 2,500 to like 4,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really not a bad price when you consider that, and especially if you're working in the professional space where you need this level of color accuracy, this is perfect.
Yeah.
And this level of
this means you can
contrast.
do HDR mastering.
Exactly. Acer released a few things. They have their Nitro 5 Ryzen-based laptop. It's a 15.6-inch 1080p display. It's got a Polaris mobile chip, not a Vega mobile chip, which is a little confusing to me because Vega mobile's going to be becoming more popular, but I guess they just didn't do that yet. And they haven't just stated the CPU, but we can probably assume that it's a Ryzen 7 1700. Maybe, though, it's a Ryzen 5 1600 6-core, which would still be awesome in a laptop to have a 6-core. They also released the Swift 7, which is the thinnest laptop ever currently. Really, really thin. 14-inch display, LTE capable. It's got what's up?
Real quick, according to AnandTech, it's going to have a desktop-class Ryzen 7 and a discrete RX 580.
Okay, cool. Okay, yeah, that's right. They didn't know which Ryzen 7,
yes.
But it's a Ryzen 7. It's going to be a 1700, guys. No reason to use the 95-watt TDP parts when you
or
can
560,
use a 65-watt TDP. And yeah, sorry, an RX 560. I know what you meant. Dual-core i7 on the Swift 7. We're back to the Swift 7 now. Dual-core i7 7Y75 4.5-watt TDP. Basically, garbage processor unless you're just emailing and web browsing and watching video. But, you know, that's what you expect for literally the thinnest laptop out there. The idea is just get you through super basic tasks. Yeah. You're not doing any work whatsoever on it. It's what the MacBook's whole idea was, right?
Yeah.
And that was a Y series processor. 8 gigs of RAM and a 256 gig SSD. All right, HTC released the HTC Vive Pro.
This is super amazing.
Super amazing, super exciting. It's using an OLED display, correct?
That's what they all have to use.
Yeah.
Much.
Well, no, there was an LCD in the original Vive, though.
In the demo unit, not in the retail.
I thought the retail was also... Really? Oh, was it? Okay.
OLED is what you need to get the low persistence, pretty much.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, yeah. It's a resolution, higher resolution than the standard. It's 2880 by 1600 instead of 2160 by 1200, approaching double the actual amount of pixels. It has high-end headphones built in. We'll see.
Higher end than they had.
Higher end than they had, but...
Also specifically tuned for 3D audio, which is important. they're not going to set.
Yeah.
Realistically, they won't sound as good for like just music listening.
I mean, yeah, they're not audiophile. No. I get that.
They're
for
very
gaming
specifically
and stuff like
targeted for 3D audio.
Yeah, probably Dolby Atmos, DTSX, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And it also has dual microphones instead of one, and dual front-facing cameras for potential augmented reality and stuff like that.
Also, they showed off. It's really weird looking. You kind of look like an alien with it, but this essentially adapter that hooks up to it for wireless. It's 60 gigahertz wireless.
Yes, I saw that, and it's really cool. So you're gonna, so that's line of sight. Keep that in mind. 60 gigahertz wireless that frequency. Like you can't be like, oh, I'll just throw my PC in my bedroom and walk around the house. No,
this is meant for just being in your regular VR. Like if this was his VR room,
and my PC was here,
his sensor's there,
and my sensor's there,
and you would just be able to not have a cord, so you wouldn't trip over it.
Exactly. Yeah.
You would have a cable, presumably. It's powered by, or you can power it with a USB battery.
Yeah, so you can just
have like a 3,000 milliamp hour battery pack in your pocket.
So you can choose the battery size. You could rig like a 26,000 back if you really want to do VR for 48 hours straight.
You're insane.
Right. All right, so Razer did some really cool stuff. Project Linda.
This is so cool.
This is actually really cool. I have a few complaints, but I think it's a really cool concept, and I hope it comes to market. So it is a laptop dock for the Razer phone. Presumably, since they're probably going to release another Razer phone this year, it'll probably fit the newest Razer phone as well. Probably that means that hints us that the newest Razer phone is going to be the same external dimensions.
I expect them to use that same design for a couple of years. For
like probably 3 years total, I know, which I don't mind at all.
If anything, they could shrink the speakers down a little bit in size.
Bigger screen,
to get bigger screen.
Exactly. And obviously higher end specs. So it's got an RGB keyboard. The phone actually mounts where your trackpad would go rather than slotting inside. So your phone becomes the trackpad, which should, in theory, further cut costs, although they didn't talk about the actual price of this thing.
No, they don't have a price
Yeah, because it's just a concept. But in theory, that would help cut costs. You don't have to add a trackpad, and it's a touchscreen, so you can have cool stuff on it.
And it works as a second display.
Yeah, so you can do all kinds of cool stuff with it, custom mapping, and people really liked that idea on the original Razer Blade, and now the Razer Blade Pro has the
Theoretically,
display,
they could do things like, if you're playing Hearthstone, they could have your hand on your trackpad, and the rest of the game on the display. They could have just anything you could think of for second display experiences.
And I was wrong. Razer actually removed the touchscreen touchpad on their Razer Blade laptops. I thought the Razer Blade Pro still had it, but never mind.
They removed that a while ago.
Okay, so anyway.
Also, real quick about how they have the touchpad laid out. The essentially middle of where the touchpad goes has a gap, and that's for being able to still use the fingerprint sensor from the Razer's phone,
which is really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, it's just a concept for now. It uses the built-in Razer phone speakers, which are probably the best speakers on any phone ever, but that means your speakers are on your trackpad. A couple of issues I have with that is I prefer it on the sides of my display, not on the bottom of the laptop. But again, it's not a higher end unit, and like you look at a lot of Chromebooks, they've got speakers on the bottom side of the laptops, including my Chromebook, so like whatever. And I own the Chromebook that I reviewed semi recently on the site, i.e. like 6 months ago or over a year ago. But anyway, I don't know if they're going to be quite loud enough for a laptop, but they are pretty incredible speakers. I just don't like that if I'm using my trackpad here and my hand is technically going over the right speaker, so that's going to affect the right stereo audio channel. That bugs me a little, but we'll see how it's implemented in real life. They also, if they really wanted to, could do one of two things. Either add speakers, charge a little more for it, maybe have a speaker model. They could do that. Or they could actually have channels that channel the speaker's audio up there. If done right, you can do it without a bunch of echoing and reverberation.
The problem with doing that is that the speakers straight just fire upward.
So they'd have to,
they'd have to cover it, which would change the design.
Change the trackpad and everything, Okay, so it's got a 53 watt-hour battery built in, meaning you're going to be able to do a lot of productivity on this, and it'll charge your phone.
It'll charge. So the idea is like literally anytime that you use this, your phone should come out with more battery than you put it in.
Which is really smart, meaning you can do work and you gain battery. Cool.
Yes.
It's got a Quad HD 13.3-inch display. Makes sense because the Snapdragon 821 is not going to have any problem running that. The phone is Quad HD, so it makes sense. No changes there. 200 gigabytes of built-in storage. Thank you, Razer, for including built-in storage, because if you're going to be working with files and stuff, that's a really cool idea. They're supposed to be doing a bunch of software stuff to make this really cool. It's got a USB-A and a USB-C for charging. So not the USB-A for charging. The USB-A is a USB-A. Yeah. And then they have a USB-C, which as far as we know is a functional USB-C.
Yes.
But it's also for charging. And a 720p webcam. I like the idea of a webcam on it. I mean, that's cool for productivity. They also released, Razer released the Mamba Hyperflux. So it's a wireless charging mouse pad for the Mamba mouse, the Mamba HyperFlux in specific.
Yes.
Just like Dell has their power play, right, where it charges the mouse's battery while you're playing, and
Logitech?
What did I say?
Dell.
Logitech. I am so sorry. I'm trying to rapid fire these, and there's a bunch of Dell stuff coming up, so that's why I said that. Logitech has their power play mouse and mouse mat that has a battery still, and it charges that mouse. And in theory, while using the mouse, you should go up in charge still, just really slowly, or at least maintain the same charge. This is different. It has no battery. The mouse pad powers the mouse continuously. Hopefully it works consistently. I imagine it would, because people have done a lot of testing with Logitech's PowerPlay and not had problems with it lowering in battery during usage. So hopefully this doesn't have any problems where all of a sudden your mouse doesn't work for a split second, because that little, like, you know, you missed 3 millimeters on your mouse pad. That might be enough that you missed the headshot, right?
Yeah, well, so this I didn't actually read before about how this did it, but I see now. So it's actually doing it by creating a magnetic field.
It's the same way PowerPlay does it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so this is it's PowerPlay's patented, so assuming it's a little different.
This also has to be designed to be able to send energy upward a little bit, because what if you're the type of person that does this with your mouse and lose power?
Right, exactly. Unless it can lose power and reconnect instantly. Is OBS is reconnection successful. Hi guys, sorry, thanks Comcast, I hate you so much, thanks Joe for letting us know that it was down, I know the stream cut out again, thank you guys, I'm sorry, so we're back. Anyway, Razer Mamba can continuously charge, and it doesn't have a battery, so it continuously is powered by the mouse pad. Pretty cool idea, although I do like Logitech's idea if you don't mind the extra weight and the slightly higher cost, better because
higher than the $250?
For the mouse pad and mouse combo.
It's not more expensive than this.
I thought it was.
It depends, because there's multiple mouse options.
Oh, that's true. It's
$100 for the mouse pad, right?
That was $150 and then $100 for the mouse. Anyway.
No, it's because there's two different mice. One's $100, one's $150. And I'm pretty sure the mouse pad's
$100. We probably don't have time to look it up. Yeah. You're probably right, though. Okay, so anyway, if you are ever going to use your mouse not at your desktop, you're going to move it and use it for another machine or something, you probably don't want to go with this because you have to bring the mouse pad with you. But hey, it's
also,
cool.
As someone who owns a Mamba, do not buy this until reviews come out. I have a big problem with my mouse of the way Razer pretty much is glued on the side grip, and like for mine, I've used it enough that it's starting to come off. So at this point, I want long-term reviews of this before I can ever recommend to anyone a Mamba mouse. I'll probably talk about that later in something I
Joe's saying the stream didn't come back, but I'm asking him if it's back now. Hopefully it is.
Okay.
Thank you for monitoring that.
Also, $100 for the mouse pad.
The internet in my entire house goes down for a moment. It's so
live on Twitch.
It's live on Twitch. Okay, so we should be good. Okay, so
live
anyway,
on YouTube.
Moving on. Lydon, a new company, released a bunch of SSDs. Cool. Who cares? I just wanted to mention them that a new company releasing SSDs. Dell had probably one of the biggest PC hardware events here. The XPS 15 2-in-1. I really like it, but the keyboard's garbage. I'll explain why in a moment. 15 2-in-1 is a total redesign. Really nice. You can have a 4K with 100% of Adobe RGB or a 1080p panel with 100% sRGB. It uses the 65-watt Kaby Lake G, meaning it's running Vega MGL. So you could potentially game on the thing, which is exactly what I've been looking for in an Ultrabook. Is an Ultrabook that I can take for a day to do work and game on it a little bit if I potentially want to. Then I've got my
Chrome for Joe.
Okay, cool. Then I've got my Chromebook that I can take literally anywhere because, you broke into my car and stole my Chromebook. It's $300 and none of my data is on it. Yeah. Who cares? So I take that wherever I want. But for doing actual more heavy-duty work, I'd want something like this. 4 gigs of video RAM on that. So again, it's Vega. So you should have around 1050 level gaming is what Dell is saying, which gives us an idea that Vega MGL is around actually the 1050 levels of performance, which is pretty good. 8 or 16 gigs of RAM options for now. 32 gigabytes should be offered in the future. I would want a 32 gig if you're going to do any productivity. Again, I'll get to the keyboard of why I don't want to do this, though, in the future. M.2 PCIe NVMe. It's thinner, 9mm at its thinnest point, so it's a pretty thin machine. It has 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports, 2 USB-C 3.1 Gen 2 ports, I think. They didn't actually say which generation it was. Micro SD. Honestly, I thought with the XPS 13 that I don't even know if they showed off yet.
If they're advertising it as 3.0, it's Gen 1.
Okay.
Because it's 3.1 Gen 1 and 2.
Yeah. So I don't know if they advertise it as 3.0 or if I just mistyped. I'm not sure. So anyway, now what bothers me is I don't mind if the XPS 13 has a micro SD card slot, but the XPS 15, especially because it's going to have the Vega GPU, so it could be used for productivity and gaming, should have a full-size SD card
Too
slot.
bad, wrecked.
Let's be honest. That actually really bothers me. That's not okay on a 15-inch machine. That's okay on a 13-inch ultra portable.
At
probably
least
not too
it's
much
not
work.
a Dell XPS Pro.
Right.
That's it.
And at least, you know, they still included something.
Yeah.
And, of course, you can get really fast micro SD cards that you can put in an SD card adapter, and you can use that if you have an SD card, you know, device and just pull the micro SD out. So it's not the end of the world. It's just a little bit inconvenient and bugs me a little. Dell, you probably shouldn't have done that, but they probably can't change it now. And it charges over USB-C, which is super cool, which means that the Kaby Lake G 65 watt parts can charge over USB-C, which is pretty cool. Now, the keyboard is a maglev keyboard, a magnetic levitation keyboard, meaning the keys literally float by magnets and get pushed down. It has slightly higher travel at 0.7 millimeters versus the Apple's MacBook and MacBook Pro 0.5 millimeters butterfly switch travel. That's hardly a difference, even though it's actually almost like, it's like a 40% difference in travel. That's hardly anything. I have typed on the butterfly switches extensively. They are horrible to type on if you want to do any serious typing. Some people think they're okay. I can't stand it because proper typing, in my opinion, requires significant key travel. This, unfortunately, means if you want a good keyboard, you've got to go with Lenovo at this point, or potentially Dell's like Latitude series. I haven't actually used their keyboards extensively. The XPS used to be known for having good keyboards. This is really unfortunate in my mind that they kind of ruined the keyboard on the 15, which was bought by a lot of people as a productivity machine, not just a multimedia machine, which is technically what XPS is for.
Now, one thing I want to bring up with the maglev keyboard, theoretically, if they design this right, they could adjust the strength of the repulsion later on and add more resistance to make it feel like it's even deeper.
Yes. So it's probably a lot better to type on than Apple's butterfly switch.
Yes.
But even now it probably is, but still not good enough in my opinion.
I'm just saying they could potentially tweak it later on.
Right, exactly. The thing is, for me, I'm a journalist. If you're not going to do a lot of typing, you're going to do a little bit of keyword work, it's not a big deal. For somebody that is a typing enthusiast and a journalist, I want a better keyboard than that.
Okay, next topic.
Okay. They also, the Latitude 5000 and 7000 series are receiving the 8th gen Intel treatment.
Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, so there's the two monitors. There's the S2419HM and the, your name is in the way so I can't see it. You should move your mouse down. We're sharing a document here. The S2719DM. So that's a 24-inch and a 27-inch. They're both IPS with Infinity Edge and 99% sRGB. One's 1920 by 1080, one's 2560 by 1440.
Don't have time to read every spec.
I know, but I'm going through it quick. They're both display HDR 400, or no, the 27-inch is display HDR 400 certified from Vega, $300 and $500 respectively. All right, we've got the Inspiron Gaming 5680. They have 4 and 6 core options from Intel. They used to... this is a desktop, by the way. They had 8-core Ryzen versions available of the same desktop design. GTX 1070 Max and 64 gigs of RAM Max. Thunderbolt 3 SSDs. Whoop-de-doo, nothing given. Lenovo, the ThinkPad X1 tablet has been refreshed. It's all new. No more Y-series CPUs. It's actually using the higher-end U-series CPUs, which is really cool. Probably quad cores since it's 8th gen with the 620i GPU. Yes, definitely quad cores. 13-inch, 3000 by 2000 resolution touchscreen. Thunderbolt 3 external graphics dock from Lenovo. They took a really unique approach on this. So it's not a graphics dock per se. It is a graphics card.
Yeah.
With some USB ports and stuff. It's got a GTX 1050 in it. And LAN, $400. GTX 1050s are, you know, in the 200 range.
Give me a 1050 Ti and I'd be happier.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Because, no, 1050s are in the 200 range. Okay, the ThinkPad X1 Carbon, I actually might want to get this one for real. Has Dolby Vision HDR. It has Alexa built in. Whoop-de-doo, nobody cares. Fingerprint reader, cool. It's got the quad-core CPUs in theory. It says 8th gen, so I'm assuming it'll include the quad-core CPUs. And
micro SD, though.
2560 by 1440. What?
Micro SD.
It is micro SD. Again, that's a complaint, but this is a 14-inch, not a 15-inch. It was the 15-inch that bothered me.
It also has... Okay, to be fair, though, the XPS has smaller bezels.
Yes, but
so it's a smaller laptop. I guarantee
it's about the same size. Okay.
But the screen size is what matters, not the physical size too?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
No, but they managed to include Ethernet, though, so thank you, Lenovo, for that. But I would have preferred full-size SD. Again, I would criticize both, but at least they included something. Mm-hmm. Whatever. 2.49 pounds, $17.09 is the starting price.
Mad Cats.
I'm considering this. The problem with it is it's not using the Kaby Lake G series, meaning it's not going to be good for lightweight gaming, which is really something I'm going to go for a day or something. I want to be able to play some Overwatch and whatnot on it, not just Hearthstone. Anyway, Mad Cats returns. What? Already? I mean, we expected them, their brand to be revitalized somehow. Anyway, so they filed for bankruptcy in March of 2017, so not even a year. Kind of weird. They're releasing 3 products. They're releasing the Rat Air that charges via the mouse pad. running the PixArt PMW3360 sensor, optical sensor, which is a pretty good sensor for FPS. The Strike 4 mechanical keyboard. It's the first mechanical keyboard, as far as I'm concerned, from them. It's got RGB. And the Freak FREQ4, which is a metal headset with an omnidirectional mic. There's an RGB gaming chair by Vertigear, the PL4500. It's wireless with replaceable batteries, not rechargeable batteries. I'm guessing AA's. I didn't find any data on what batteries were, but it says a 30-hour charge, which I think is too low for something that you potentially would like to have turned on for 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day. It's kind of too low to have to replace those batteries. It should have been a rechargeable lithium ion, in my opinion. NZXT cam integration so that you can do some cool stuff in terms of like how you want it to look and sync up with stuff. SanDisk released a 1 terabyte USB flash drive we've seen before. This time, Type-C. Smallest USB flash drive, really, really tiny, really cool. Probably gets kind of warm. I have a 200 or 128 gig, basically the size of a full-size USB port. Like it literally just sticks out like 2 millimeters from the laptop. It gets pretty hot when I'm pushing I/O to it. From SanDisk. SanDisk has been really good about doing really small ones. Plexstore released their M9 PE RGB edition of the PCI Express NVMe SSD. That was talked about and reviewed. That SSD was, they just added RGB to it. ViewSonic released an 8K monitor, the VP3278-8K. It's a 32-inch at 7680 by 4320. 30 hertz uncompressed or display stream compression, can do up to 60 hertz. $5,200. Not bad considering, you know, you're paying $2,200 more than you would pay for the 4K OLED, and you're getting 8K. Pretty cool for anybody that wants to do editing in 8K, people that are running RED cameras and stuff.
Or this is going to be really nice for photo editing, like really large scale. Yes.
So it's great for high-end professional work. And if you're going to be recording in 8K, like you're using a RED camera, you can afford this, no problem. Yeah. They also released the VP2768, which is a 4K monitor, 3840 by 2160. Uses Thunderbolt 3 for 60 hertz output. It's supposed to be highly color accurate, no metrics given on that, $900. That's really cool. Mm-hmm. That's a display I might consider for my main editing display because I want to go with a 4K editing display. Mobile stuff, do you have anything to add to this other than what I have?
The DJI Osmo 2 was announced. So for those that don't know, the Osmo Mobile is a handheld camera gimbal pretty much. It's like designed to be extremely stable. It was fairly cheap when it came out at $300, but that was still really high for a lot of people. It's since dropped to about $200. But it's had its own problems. It's I think it was 4.5 hours of battery life in good conditions. The new one is $129 when it launches, and it is 15 hours of battery life.
Very cool. Very cool.
Really good. January 23rd is when pre-orders go live. For some reason, only at Apple stores to start.
Which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Joe mentioned something. He's saying whenever they go to the live stream, it pops up with the offline message, but comes back like 40 seconds later. That's weird. I'm sorry for anybody that's having issues with that. There's nothing we can do about it. I can't do anything to make my internet not go out here. It is Comcast's fault. Once in a blue moon, my router actually has to be restarted because the internet just goes down.
And I just refreshed and it was fine for me.
Okay, that's weird. Consistently recently, for us, we've been having outages that sometimes we reboot our router and it fixes it. Our router is my custom solution. Sometimes we reboot our Comcast gateway and that fixes it. Sometimes nothing fixes it and we wait. But these ones where it briefly interrupts is probably Comcast's fault.
Just call it a modem to
trigger. It just happened. It might have just happened again.
Yeah, I think it went out earlier.
Crap.
I was trying to load Overwatch for like 5 minutes.
I think we're down, but I'm not sure. No, I'm getting replies.
Okay. Let's just keep going for now.
How's the Twitch stream looking? Looks good, right?
Yeah, Twitch stream looks fine.
Oh, yeah, the YouTube one's back fine. Sorry about that. Again, I'm sorry if we're having issues, guys. We apologize. BlackBerry's going to be releasing 2 phones this year.
What
cool, we'll see. So displays, other than the monitors we talked about. Panasonic released an OLED display. This is really interesting to me. HDR 10 Plus. It also, the 10 Plus part, the plus part of HDR 10 means it can actually adjust the lighting per scene or even a per frame basis based on the metadata that's given for HDR. It's the FZ950 and FZ800, which are 65-inch and 55-inch displays respectively at 4K. Interestingly enough, the question I ask is Panasonic starting to become the king of OLED televisions? And I'll tell you why. Is the EZ1000, which was their previous OLED display, was used as a reference monitor for post-production in Hollywood, which is impressive if Hollywood's willing to use that. Meaning maybe Panasonic's got really good OLED tech, but who knows if it's just licensed from Samsung.
Yeah, I was going to say, does Panasonic make their own OLEDs?
So that's the question.
Because Samsung doesn't really focus on TV. Samsung focuses on mobile. So
that's true. So it could be an LG, or it's either an LG OLED display or it's a Panasonic OLED display. Samsung released the Wall. That's literally the name of this. It's a modular micro LED TV. They demonstrated at 146 inches, but that means they could, in theory, make it any size you want. I don't know if it's by the LED modularity or if it's by like panels. What's up?
So Panasonic's current offerings are panels that are produced by LG. However, they also have OLED tech that was made in collaboration with Sony.
Interesting.
But that program was canceled.
That's interesting. Okay, so this is an LG panel, most likely. Okay, so I don't know what the panel sizes are for the micro LEDs, or if they can do it by the LED resolution-wise. But 146 inches was demoed. I think it was a 4K resolution for the 146 inch.
Which is terrible.
Which is terrible for a 146 inch, yeah.
Because also
and that's probably the best they can do, because it's modular. That means that's the resolution.
It depends. But to me, that indicates that this is a terrible platform for anyone that's not wanting an actual wall.
Yeah, right. This is going to be big for stadiums and, you know, potentially... It's not really for consumers, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think... Now, I love this idea.
It might be better, though, than having a projector that's 4K.
Now, this goes into something I know I mentioned to you a long time ago, but my idea is that eventually we're just going to see pixels per inch being what matters and not resolution numbers.
Which is 100% what I've been saying. Everybody's been saying forever. Everybody in the tech industry.
It's just going to be like, you're going to buy a product and the advertised number is going to be the PPI.
Yeah, exactly.
And this would be perfect for that, because then you could say, no matter what you buy, it's going to be this PPI, and if everything is recorded in like 8K, some number that most consumers aren't going to care about, then it works for everything.
No matter what you buy, PPI.
Yes. While the resolution race doesn't really matter for consumers, I think it does for cameras for that reason.
Yeah, and I can agree with you. I agree with you completely there. Anyway, it's modular because it's micro LED based, which means also the blacks are actually black. It just turns off the micro LED. Micro LEDs are still a really early technology. They could be potentially an option in the future to compete with things like OLED, but they're nowhere near good enough yet.
That could be why the resolution's so bad.
Right, exactly. This is more like Samsung's like, hey, let's get some more money fed to us for micro LED tech because maybe we can make it better in the future.
They like to show off crazy prototypes.
Exactly, and Samsung's great at showing off crazy prototype displays, even though they're not always the best at making the best displays. No, I do not. So you can talk about LG if you want. So 2,000 nits possible. That is insane brightness. I mean, this can be used in broad daylight. Yeah. Which is pretty cool. Makes sense because it's an LED emitting, light emitting diode that can get insanely bright. Did you want to talk about LG really quick?
Yeah. So LG has a roll-up TV, like
we're almost done. We promise, by the way.
Actual working, like full-size 65-inch television that can roll up. Now you don't roll this up by hand. Essentially what it is, they didn't show the spool mechanism.
You mean you can't just like wear it as a blanket?
No. Oh. But they had a box like this big that fit the whole 65-inch TV, and that's it. And so the idea is that
how long was the box? Because you did height.
Was it? It was a little bit wider than a 65-inch, enough for the mechanism to spin it.
Okay. That's a cool design.
Yes, and so the idea is that you can adjust the size of the display by just lowering it based on what you're doing. So
basically, it's a projector screen, except it's actually a display.
Yes. So if you want to watch regular 16:9 content, like TV content, then you just watch it in full 65-inch. Yeah. If you want to watch 21:9, it lowers the display down a little bit. They're also working on just a general...
So it comes up from the bottom, right? It doesn't lower from the top. Correct. Okay.
And then, so it would just lower down to the 21:9.
To make it wider, yes.
And then there was a general information version, so you can do it for IoT control, you can do it for weather, you can do it for music, where it lowers it to I think it was, my guess is like a 50:9-ish, 49:9.
Okay, just a bunch of info,
super wide display, super short, just big enough for like weather and stuff.
I like it. Cool.
Really cool, very unique design.
That's very cool. Okay, some audio stuff that I'd like to talk about. This one is technically not CES, but I'm going to mention it anyway. I was talked about by, I think it was, CNET's audio department. Definitive Technology released their D9 set of speakers. It's an $800 set of bookshelf speakers. As far as I understand, it comes in a set. They apparently sound really good. They actually have a 5x9-inch passive bass radiator on one side that helps amplify, in a way, the 5.25-inch woofer, which... I think it's the first bookshelf speaker to have a passive radiator. There have been multiple extremely high-end subwoofers that have used passive radiators that seem to have worked really well for companies like Klipsch and stuff. We'll see how well it works on here. Apparently they sound good. And a 1-inch annealed aluminum tweeter. What's up?
We're not really almost done.
I mean, but these are really quick. Sennheiser released the HG820s. I probably am going to buy some at some point if I can get the cash and if they drop in price. It has Gorilla Glass on the outside of the ear cups, which helps with audio reproduction being more accurate in terms of, and it helps with spatial signature. So they're closed back, but and they look open, which is cool, even though they're closed back, so you can see the inside just like you would on an open back pair of headphones, except it's completely clear, right? Because it doesn't have like a cage over it or anything. Supposedly, they're the best soundstage of any closed back headphones ever. Multiple people have said that, as well as that's Sennheiser's claim. Yeah. People have said that they're, not sure, but I'm skeptical, but also the best for any closed back isn't really that great necessarily. Most closed backs have pretty bad soundstage in comparison to like HG600s. They're also $2,400 headphones, but Sennheiser products generally drop semi-significantly in price semi-quickly from what I've seen on places like Amazon. So maybe if they drop below $2,000, that'll be my high-end Q3 purchase of headphones. I like to purchase 4 pairs of, anywhere from low-end to extreme high-end headphones every year, once per quarter, depending on the budget that I currently have. Depends on how high-end I get and review them. So hopefully I can get my hands on these and review them if they drop in price maybe a little bit. Creative did something really incredible. They released talked about the Super X-Fi holography. I know that's a really weird term that you haven't heard before. It's like holograph with a Y, holography, holography.
Just call it holography.
Holography. So audio holography. Basically, you use an app to take pictures of your ears and of your face, and it actually maps the 3D audio to your ear shape and your facial bone structure, so that everything in theory is mapped exactly to you for the 3D audio. So the headphones, you can have it with them built in for a certain high-end pair of headphones, or you can buy some headphones from them when this launches. They haven't talked about exactly when it'll launch. That'll come with the dongle adapter that works on headphones, or you can buy just the dongle. Apparently they're amazing. Most people are saying that they sound absolutely incredible, and from what I read, they beat DTS-X and Dolby Atmos when it comes to spatial recognition, which Dolby Atmos exists for headphones. I don't know if DTS-X does technically yet, but Dolby Atmos does. Now, I'm not going to get into why you can have just right and left channels and get perfect sounding 3D mapped audio, but headphones is actually a better way to do it than having speakers in different places. It's just harder to implement scientifically in the processing. But anyway, apparently it sounds absolutely incredible. They're doing a crowdfunding campaign. Please stop companies doing crowdfunding campaigns for your products that you can afford to develop and put money into.
I mean, can Creative really afford it?
Do you have any idea how big Creative is? They're bigger than people realize. They make a lot of audio gear for a lot of different companies. Okay, so networking stuff. 802.11ax is out now. Now, technically, it's not actually out, like, i.e. you'll be able to buy products soon with it in it, but they won't be able to use it until a firmware update, it looks like, because we're waiting on official approval from, I think, the Wi-Fi Alliance, as well as, I think, the FCC. I'm not sure if they've approved it yet or not, but it supports 8x8 MU-MIMO, which is multiple user, multiple input, multiple output, okay? Something about Creative or not?
Their stock's like $1 each.
Yeah, stock doesn't determine how big they are, though. Yeah, maybe you do. If
Their
they have the best 3D audio
their
mapping,
market cap's $84 million.
Okay, if they do have the best 3D audio mapping, maybe they're gonna shoot up. But at the same time, I don't buy stock, so because that's a conflict of interest for me. Yeah. But
I just buy crypto.
Yeah, right. Crypto's not, though. So anyway, double the current AC standard of 4x4 MU-MIMO. So that's supposed to allow more devices at once. In theory, you can get 10 gigabits per second or higher total throughput, not per device throughput. Please keep that in mind. Just because a router can deliver 10 gigabits per second, it might be 500 megabytes per second to 20 devices. Keep that in mind. That's total throughput. But it's not finalized again, so keep that in mind. But it's designed specifically to handle lots and lots of devices at high speeds. This is great, except, that the state of internet in America, speed-wise, is garbage, so it's not going to help us in terms of, like, high-speed LAN ports make sense, because you're going to probably have LAN if you're running, like, a NAS and stuff, because if you're building a NAS, you're that kind of nerd.
Yeah.
High-speed wireless makes more sense for general users when it comes to handling, really high-speed internet, except internet, it's really hard to get even gigabit in most places in America.
Yeah.
So anyway, Netgear released the Nighthawk Pro Gaming XR500. It's an AC2600 dual band with MIMO and 4 gigabit Ethernet ports, and it's using the NetDuma software for game prioritization.
It's a lot
more than that.
Way more than just game prioritization.
Game prioritization is the advertised portion of it, but it can do a lot more.
NetDuma. So NetDuma is like an all-around just gaming suite of software for routers. So it can do everything from being able to block people that are a certain distance away from you to minimize lag. If you ever play on a bad host, you can permanently block that host from connecting to your IP.
Yep.
It has VPN services for you to not have to worry about DDoSing. And that includes the ability to allow the game to go through, not through the VPN, and the rest of your software to be VPN, so your IP address, if it gets leaked, is the VPN IP.
Right, which is actually really smart, but you still get the low latency, the good ping that you want.
That's excellent for streamers, really people in esports. There's a lot of different software that is really cool. I've wanted a NetDuma router for a while, but they didn't actually have like wireless routers initially, and so I just held off, and then I think they do now, but this is probably what I'm going to get. I've been waiting for this.
Very exciting. Netgear also released the Nighthawk Pro SX10 switch. I can't wait for this. I will probably buy one once I build my NAS. It is a switch with 8 gigabit Ethernet ports. Cool. It's also a good-looking switch, by the way. Okay, cool. That's quite a bit. With 2 up to 10 gigabit Ethernet ports, meaning I can have a 10 gigabit link from my desktop to my NAS, which would be super, super cool. Excited for that, so I might end up getting one of those. $300 is the price that it's going to be, which really isn't bad for a 10 gigabit capable switch with that many also gigabit ports. We'll have to see about reviews to make sure that there's no slowdowns when you're using all the ports at once with full throughput and stuff. But in theory, you're supposed to be able to do some management of the different ports. It also has link aggregation across the entire thing, meaning yes, in theory, you could have 28 gigabits. Although not exactly, but link aggregation is possible is the point I'm getting at. So you could have your 10 gigabits link up to like an 8 gigabit center link.
Yeah. One last thing I wanted to mention about the prioritization stuff. It's not actually like game prioritization. It doesn't detect if you're running a game and then prioritize that. What it does is you literally say how much bandwidth is going to the device.
Oh, that's
and if it's using less than that, or you can literally give all of the bandwidth you have to a device, and then it will only allow other devices to use whatever that device isn't pulling. If that device is pulling all 250 megabits of my internet down, then nothing else
literally
on the network could use service.
Anyway,
nothing else on the network could use data. If it was,
that's pretty intense prioritization, which is awesome. I really like that.
It's literally just you choose how much data is going to that device.
Right. All right, Netgear also announced Netgear Armor. Basically, it's a firmware update that they can apply to various routers, and some routers will probably come with it, I'm guessing. Bitdefender will be installed on it. It'll first work on the AC2300. $70 a year is what it's going to cost, which is kind of expensive, but it has URL blocking. It scans your entire network for various vulnerabilities on devices. I'm skeptical about how well that works, but maybe if there's internet-based vulnerabilities, like your device, oh, hey, this device is vulnerable, there should be a patch available on most operating systems. Make sure you've updated it. That'd be cool. It's supposed to give you alerts. It also does password strength tests on it, as well as other various weaknesses on the router security itself, and should alert you. Also will alert you when new people join, so you can kick them off if there's somebody that shouldn't be on the network. Bitdefender Family Pack comes with it as well. I can't talk. No need for that. Cool that they include it, but you shouldn't use it. D-Link came out with the COVR or Cover Mesh Wi-Fi system. They updated it. There's the Cover C103, which is a dual band, and Cover 2202 tri-band. MIMO for both, as you would expect. The Cover 2200 is a dual 5 gigahertz bands, as you would expect, and the Cover 2200 also is comes in a 2-pack of access points that is designed for 6,000 square feet at $320. It comes with both of those. Or there's the Cover C103, which comes in a 3 access point pack for 5,000 square feet at $250. Since the internet in the US isn't that great, that's probably the more value-oriented thing for the majority of consumers. That's great, though. Mesh Wi-Fi network covers a lot of square footage and pretty well priced. They also released the AX6000 and the AX1100 802.11ax Wi-Fi routers. kind of in the description there. AX6000 is rated at 6 gigabits, while the AX1100 is rated at 11 gigabits of wireless total throughput. Dual band and tri-band for the respectively for the AX6000 and AX1100. Second half of 2018, no pricing on that yet. Asus released a smart speaker, 802.11 smart speaker that is also a Wi-Fi router, kind of weird, or a Wi-Fi hub for, I think, mesh Wi-Fi networks. I don't know. It was really confusing exactly what it was for. 802.11 AC. It's got a tri-band radio. Cool. That's the Lyra Voice, Lyra. There's also the Lyra Trio, which is a dual-band mesh Wi-Fi system. They labeled the Lyra Voice as a hub, so I'm assuming it goes along with your mesh Wi-Fi system and doesn't actually do any routing, which in a way makes sense. It's like, oh, hey, I've got my smart speaker over here. Who knows how the voice assistant is going to work? It's probably going to be trash. It didn't say if it was Alexa or not. Sorry for triggering devices. But, I have this thing over here, and now my Wi-Fi network's expanded. Hey,
Google, play that one song with the whistling. Okay, keep going.
Okay, so anyway, sorry. Then they also released the RT-AX88U, which is a high-end kind of gamer-oriented router that's 802.11ax, as you would expect. 6 gigabits is the max rated wireless speed that it has, and 8 gigabit LAN ports. Thank you, Asus, for releasing...
You need to stop that.
Was that upstairs?
That's yours.
Hey, Google! Stop!
Oh, I can't believe
Can you go turn it up? Can you go turn it off, Paul? We have a Google Home Mini upstairs! Like, on that side of the house.
Oh, that made my day.
Oh.
Okay, keep going. Keep going.
I'm
keep going.
so sorry.
Keep going.
Okay, anyway, 8 gigabit LAN ports on this router. Thank you for not having only 4. I really appreciate that, Asus. Automobile stuff that you want to talk about. Last subject, and then we're done. We are running really late. What's up with this?
So, Byton is a new... they're a Chinese...
Byton.
Yeah, they're a Chinese company that announced a really nice-looking car. It's designed to be a Tesla competitor. Essentially, it's going to launch at 45,000.
Tesla Model 3 competitor in specific.
Kind of.
Okay.
Model Y. Because it's more of an SUV styling. So it's going to start at 45,000. It is very much a... I don't know how to phrase this other than, like... It's really designed around self-driving. So the whole dash from the front seat all the way over to the passenger seat is one screen.
It's beautiful.
Not a touchscreen. The touchscreen is in the steering wheel. There is there's like hand gestures to control the big screen. The steering wheel has sensors in it to detect things like heart rate and pulse, or same thing, to detect a bunch of biometric data, so it can tell if, like, for example, if you're starting to go to sleep, it can warn you, like, hey, you're starting to doze off.
Which is a cool feature.
A bunch of different stuff like that. I even read something that supposedly the seats are going to be able to turn around in the front, so you can turn around and talk to people behind you. There are displays on the back of the front seats that might be for higher-end models. We don't know all the details. But long story short, this is a very interesting looking electric car. As of right now, it's just a concept. But
why am I not showing this?
I don't know.
Here, I'm showing
this,
this, guys.
Show this, because
it's from The Verge. Thank you, The Verge. That's beautiful. I love that. I love that. It's a very good looking machine. I love this right here. It's beautiful.
So,
wow.
This is a pretty standout electric car. There's not really a whole lot of other quality ones. However, we don't know how good their self-driving hardware
which
is
something
going to
that Tesla's been amazing at.
Yes.
So we're gonna have to wait and see on how good that is. Anything else?
Nope.
All right, guys. Sorry for running so late here. This is really you just made me laugh by texting me. Thanks, Calvin. So anyway, So anyway, thank you everybody for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Obviously, check out the links in the description. And if you go to our website there, you can actually subscribe to an email list, so you get email updates a couple of hours before WordCast starts. Leave your comments. Let us know what you think. Unfortunately, I've been having issues getting this podcast actually recorded. The live stream doesn't like to record to my hard drive for some reason. I don't know what's going on with OBS. All my settings are fine. Whatever. So I'm going to be ripping this from YouTube probably and putting it on SoundCloud and stuff like that, so that you guys can actually download a physical copy if you're somewhere where you don't have data. But that is all we have time for today. Thank you everybody for joining in. Happy CES. We'll have a big CES roundup of the biggest stories on Monday.
Yeah.
So look out for that. And stopping. Stopping?
To go to fucking bed.
Yeah, me too, dude.
Did you read that text message?
Oh my.
So
you made me laugh by sending me that. Here.
So you did read it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just like walked up there and it's like fucking tired of this job. Fucking Google piece of fucking shit.
Dude's angrier than Ethan.
I'll talk to you guys about the car. Oh, I already know he doesn't like it.
No, they're listening.
The wise.
Well, I know. I was here on Christmas when
I know you were.
your mom opened it and she was like, Randy, you're not gonna like this.
Awesome.
First words I ever know.
Well, especially now that Google is quote unquote targeting conservatives.
I hate that so much. I tried to explain it to him. I was like, no, they're not. They're fucking for everybody.
No, it's literally just a deep out fighter for
It's just
stupid report. And
well, the thing is, it's like, you could easily say the same thing that they're targeting Democrats.
Yeah.
You could say the same thing with the amount of people.
the LGBT video problem.
Yeah.
Although he would support that, so. Calvin, excuse me real quick, because I have to.
That's hot, you know.